Leave a like on this video and I'll actually give you nothing at all. Now, but what's up guys? Welcome back to a brand new story. And just imagine you're chilling with your girlfriend. Life is awesome. You stare into her eyes lovingly, and then all of a sudden this emo kid walks in and says that you must fight him to the death to decide who gets your girlfriend. And at that moment, you seriously just sit there and question your life choices. That is the story I'll be telling today. So sit back, relax, subscribe if you're new, and let's just jump right into this story. So we're going to call a subscriber who submitted the story James. So anyways, there was a kid in James's class who we're going to call the emo kid. He kept to himself. He wore crazy makeup and the dark clothing and whatever. And honestly, it doesn't really matter what you wear. But he was also extremely melodramatic. Like, he would come in and he'd be like, "Society doesn't understand me. No one gets me. I'll never fit in." He was kind of like one of those kids that kind of just like would say this stuff and then would be like, "Why do I not have friends? I'm just a melodramatic freak all the time," which, I mean, I was pretty weird in middle school, so like I can't really speak. But then again, hey man. Anyways, so there's also a girl in, I don't know, I'll just call her like, we'll just call her Kate, right? It's name of my friend back home. So anyways, James and the emo kid, unfortunately, had to cross paths because they both had a thing for this girl. And this Friday, right? So this story all starts like this weekend, or not this weekend, we'll say starts on Monday. And this Friday, remember, not actually this Friday, I mean this Friday in the story, was going to be the school dance. And the whole thing was like whoever got the slow dance with this girl was basically going to like, so the thing at James's school is if you slow danced with a girl, you were basically dating her at this point. You guys were practically in love at that point. So it was a pretty big deal who was going to get the slow dance. And it was the emo kid versus James. And this became very public knowledge. Like the emo kid was telling everyone that he was going to 100% get the slow dance. And people kind of knew James because James was more popular. He wasn't like, I don't know, some like really annoying popular person. He was just like a cool guy that everyone liked. I mean, at least according to James, who submitted this story. So who really knows? But we'll go with it, right? So everyone kind of knew that both the emo kid and James were both fighting for this girl, Kate. And Kate made it pretty clear that, you know, she was not going to say yes to the emo kid. Like, sorry, unlucky. Life just works out like that. But she was considering saying yes to James. She was kind of just keeping... the truth was that she was going to say yes to James if he asked. However, she just wanted to keep him kind of like on his toes and questioning or whatever, right? So, yeah, throughout that whole week, the emo kid and James, they didn't really, like, they weren't, like, in a fight with each other, but it was kind of like, they were kind of like rivals in a sense, even though they never had any direct confrontation. And let's just skip ahead to that Friday. It was the day of the school dance. It was emo kid versus James. So anyways, at this point, you know, the emo kid is like, you know, he's kind of like, he's standing in the corner at the dance, right? Look, I was pretty awkward in high school and middle school when it came to those big dances. But to be fair, everyone else was as well. But the emo kid was kind of taking it to a whole different level. He literally was like slouched in the corner of the room. His like long black hair kind of like down. Almost like, you know, that scene from The Ring with that like the girl who comes out of the TV. He was kind of looking like that chick for a second. So he was definitely not helping himself out in this situation. And at this point, James and his boys were kind of standing like together, whatever. They were dancing to, I don't know. I don't freaking know what they play at high school dances. Maybe some Whip Nene by Silento. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a middle school dance, bro. I don't know how this works. But anyways, they're kind of waiting for the slow song to come on. Maybe some, I don't know, some like song by Adele or something like that. Like dude, I always try and like say lines from songs during these stories and I just blank every single time. But anyways, yeah, so they're all kind of waiting around there, and it was, eventually, the slow dance song came on. And remember, you might be thinking, oh man, who cares? It's just like a slow song. No. What you have to understand is the slow song meant everything to these kids. Like, the slow song, basically, if you had a slow song with some girl, because remember, they were in middle school, this was like 7th, 8th grade, so probably the farthest you ever went with a girl was, like, slow dancing, or maybe holding her hand, if you were, like, crazy, because, you know, if you hold a girl's hand for too long, there is a chance you get her pregnant. So definitely not misinformation from the Connor Pugs channel. But anyways, slow dance was a really big deal. And all of a sudden, the song comes on. And the thing was, right, the emo kid was too busy kind of like sulking about society in the corner of the room to react quick enough. So James was like, all right, bro, like that guy's playing himself. I'm going to go in. So James very quickly goes in and boom, he gets there, goes up. He's like, hey, like, Kate, like, can I have this dance? And she very happily says yes, because she said, like, oh, I don't know if I'll say yes. She knew she was bluffing the whole time. And James kind of felt pretty confident about it. And even though she said, I don't know, he was pretty confident because her friends were like, yeah, dude, she's totally bluffing. Like, I hate to expose my friend like that, but she definitely has a thing for you. You're chilling. You're in the green. So anyways, James goes in. He feels pretty good about the whole thing. But let me just say that the emo kid eventually looks up and then he sees this. And the emo kid is not having it. So he does something pretty insane. So strap in and definitely prepare for the cringe. If you have your cringe seatbelt unbuckled, I'm actually going to fine you for your own safety. So yeah, go ahead and buckle that cringe seatbelt, because there was like a DJ station and there was like a guy who was like DJing, quote unquote, and there was like a microphone, so like the DJ could say like, hey, like 20 minutes till the dance is done, or get ready for this hype song or whatever. And other than that, he was really just a Spotify playlist. He just edited the Spotify playlist, right? However, the DJ let the Spotify playlist run on autoplay or whatever, and he went to the bathroom. So the emo kid ran up to like the spot or whatever. He grabs the microphone. He stops the music. First of all, he goes up to the Spotify, clicks pause on the music, and screams into the microphone, "Wait!" And everybody turns around. Everybody turns around and they look at this kid. And they're all kind of like looking at this emo kid who's standing at the front of the room with like the microphone. He picks it up. He's like, Kate, no. So at this point, everyone's kind of looking at this kid like, oh my God. Because they all knew that like he wanted to have the dance with Kate, but like James obviously got it. So they were like, that's tough, man. Like life sometimes doesn't work out the way you want it to. Like that's just unfortunate how that goes. However, you know, he goes up there and he's like, he goes in the microphone, like he says, wait. And everyone turns around. The music is off. He's like, Kate, may I have this dance? And everyone's so confused because, first of all, he turned off the slow song in the middle of the song. And also, she was already dancing with someone. And instead of just going up to her, he makes a massive scene in front of everyone, grabbing the microphone and screaming into it, saying like, will you have this dance? And the thing is, right, it's caused enough commotion that the guy, like the DJ that was hired, ran back. Because I think he was supposed to be there the whole time, but he needed to like rip a piss or something, so he needed to go. And he runs back over. He's like, give that back to me. He like snatches it out of the emo kid's hand. He's like, sorry for the interruption, guys. Turns the music back on, like starts like, not cursing out this kid, he's a middle schooler, but being like, dude, what do you think you're doing? You can't just like come up here and take this stuff. Like, if you do this again, I'm going to tell your teachers and you'll be in big trouble. Or, I mean, I don't know how much trouble a hired DJ can get you in, but, you know, the emo kid returns to his corner and literally just sits down, just slumps into the corner of the room, which James felt kind of bad. He felt a little bit bad because, like, James has definitely been in that position. I say that very kind of liberally because James has not actually been in a position where he grabs the microphone at the school dance, stops the music, and asks the girl out unsuccessfully. He hasn't specifically been there, but he's definitely been in a situation where it just hasn't gone his way. So he feels bad, man. You know, feels bad, man. You hate to see it. But yeah, anyways, James like continued on with the slow. I mean, he's not going to stop his life because this kid has an unlucky moment. Like, that's tough. So, yeah, you know, while I will say there was kind of an awkward moment because while, like, James is, like, slow dancing with Kate, he kind of, like, turns around. Like, they kind of, like, turn around so James is facing the emo kid. And he just looks up, and the emo kid is staring at him with, like, the creepiest, most stalkerish, most scariest stare he's ever seen. Because the emo kid is slumped over, like, the girl from The Ring, right? And is just, like, staring right at him. His, like, long black hair, like, covering most of his face besides his eyes, and he's like slumped over too, like kind of like crouching over like an old guy with a cane or something, but without a cane. And James is like, hey, do you mind if we turn like 45 degrees this way or 90 degrees this way. Thank you. That's much better. So he doesn't have to see him anymore. Or actually, let's do a whole 180. I mean, he didn't ask for a 180 because he didn't want like Kate to be making eye contact with him either. But yeah, so that was a bit of a tough situation. However, you might be thinking, well, I mean, at this point, reasonably, the emo kid must have realized that this just wasn't his day. And he must have just like given up, which he's already embarrassed himself. Like, he probably gave up after this point. And while that would be pretty fair for you to believe, that was unfortunately that was just not what happened, because the emo kid would continue. Let me just say that the emo kid thought that if he had a sword fight with James, that he would be able to win the honor of his lady. I'm not even kidding you. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment emo down below. That'll be the secret word of the day. I will try and heart as many of those comments as I possibly can. And also, if you want to support the channel, the best possible thing you can do is just watch this video throughout the entirety of this video, and then afterwards, if you could watch some of my old videos, that helps more than you can ever imagine. Please go in the comment section and tell me how many of my old videos you've watched today or this week. I'll heart it and say thank you, because it helps me out more than you can ever imagine. Anyways, let's get back to the story, because the emo kid is not done. In fact, he is far from being done. So what happened after the school dance? Like, over the weekend, James actually met up with Kate. They went to like go get dinner together, and that's when they officially started dating, whatever that means in 8th grade, which means, oh my God, they're gonna sit together at lunch. Oh my God, dude, that's crazy, right? But anyway, so James officially starts dating this girl. Word gets around really quickly, and eventually the emo kid, I'm pretty sure at this point the emo kid would have known, but by his next actions, it's not super clear. So that Monday is the first kind of like lunch day that Kate and what's his name, James, are going to be having their first real at-school lunch date, which is a pretty big deal for the 8th graders there. Obviously, it's not that big of a deal in general, but hey, man, let them have their fun. And so, yeah, he sits down, like, he finds Kate, they sit down, and they're at a table by themselves, and, like, people are looking over and talking and be like, ooh, someone's dating, whatever, right? And, however, James, Kate is facing away from the door, but James is facing the door, and James sees the door open up, and he sees the emo kid walk in, and James is like, this is tough. Because James feels bad. He legitimately feels bad because, I mean, if the roles were reversed, he would feel bad, like, seeing the girl that he really liked a week ago sitting with the guy who was low-key his, like, enemy rival on a date. Like, that would be tough to see. And James started to feel a little bit worried when the emo kid starts to approach him, right? Starts to approach him. And, yeah, so the emo kid walks up to their table. And at this point, Kate also realizes that someone's walking up, so she turns around. And the emo kid walks up and doesn't look at James. He's not paying any attention to James. He's actually acting as if James doesn't even exist at this point. The emo kid turns to the girl, Kate, I forgot her name for a second, says, Kate, I've been wanting to ask this for a while, but since we've become so close in the last couple weeks, which they have never spoken before, but that is beyond the point. At this point, that is beyond the point. He's like, I was wondering if you would like to go on a date with me, if you would like to start dating. And James is like, oh, no, he doesn't know. How does he not know? Because James is like, everybody knows. Everybody told everybody, but I guess everybody didn't tell the emo kid. Of course they didn't. And Kate at this point is like, oh, well, I'm very flattered. And the emo kid's like, well, if you're flattered, then you should say yes, correct? And at this point, she's like, oh, well, you see, it's actually not great timing because I'm actually currently in a relationship. And the emo kid's like, what? How? With who? And James is like, oh my God, this is so awkward. He doesn't know. So James has kind of assumed that the emo kid didn't think anything of the fact that James got like the dance with her, which in all reality, the emo kid was kind of the one who had the most common sense in that situation, because just because someone dances with a girl once doesn't mean anything, right? But at this middle school, if you got the slow dance, you were basically in. You were locked in at this point, is what I'm trying to say. So Kate has to go on to awkwardly explain to the emo kid that, well, the guy that she's sitting at right now on the lunch date with happens to be the guy that she's dating. And the emo kid turns to James, looks at him, looks him down and up, like does like the elevator look when he looks at like the top of his head, looks all the way down, then looks all the way up, turns back to Kate and is like, really, dude? You decided to date this guy when you could have dated me? He's like, bruh. And he just kind of like storms out of there. And James looks at Kate and he's like, dude, how did that kid not know that we're dating at this point? Like, I swear to God, all your friends told everybody. Like, and Kate's like, dude, my friends didn't tell everyone. And James is like, if you ask anyone at the school, besides the emo kid, apparently, they will know. And Kate's like, yeah, okay, my friends do talk a lot. And they're like, well, that was pretty awkward. Hopefully nothing else happens again. You might be thinking at this point, Connor, the emo kid must stop. There's no way he continues on. There's not a chance that he continues, right? Well. I got some news for you guys. He does continue, and it's bad. Because you might be thinking that, oh, well, the emo kid stormed off and he was done. No. About 20 minutes later, when there's only like 10 minutes left to lunch, James sees the doors open up again, and he's like, you gotta be kidding me, dude. Because the emo kid walks through. But this time, he is like stomping towards James super angrily. He runs up to the table practically, looks at James, looks him in the eye, and says, it's not over between us. It is far from over between us. And is like taking his little finger and like pointing at James. And James is like, okay, nice. Like, I like, we do not care. Like, I don't know what else to say at this point. Like, okay, cool, nice. Like, okay, what do you want me to say? And the emo kid after that is like, you better watch yourself. It's about to get bad. And he like storms out of there. And, you know, at this point, James is like, okay, well, I guess that answers my question. So the next day at lunch is where things get really, really, really crazy. So he's sitting there with Kate on his second date. James is enjoying himself. He's having a good time with Kate. They're enjoying each other's presence. They're doing well. I mean, they're kind of clicking, so things might continue on, right? And that's when the emo kid walks in, and he's carrying like two sticks, like two pretty good sized sticks that he probably found in the backyard of the school. So in the backyard of the school, there's like a mini forest, nothing too crazy, but there's like a pretty big forest back there. And the emo kid must have gone back there and like found two decent sized sticks. He walks into the cafeteria with one stick in one hand and one stick in the other, and James is just looking at him. And he's like, he kind of says like to Kate, he's like, oh, okay, we got trouble. Kate turns around, looks at it, and it's just like, turns back around and is like, what? And James is like, yeah, I have no idea what's happening, but I guess we're about to see. So the emo kid walks up to the table, like kind of like waddles his way up. And he's like, you. And he like hands the stick to James. And James is like, I need a little explanation. What do you want me to do with this? Like, it's not super clear. The emo kid's like, you and I will have a sword battle, and whoever wins the sword battle will have the will win the honor of your lady, and will. At this point, like Kate's like, what? And James is like, dude, what are you saying? He's like, fight me to the death. The winner gets your girl. And James is like, no. And emo kid's like, oh, so you're scared of me then? You know that you're gonna lose, and that's why you don't want to do it. And James is like, well, I'm not convinced I'm going to lose. I mean, I'm not an expert at random stick fighting or whatever, but at the same time, why would I want to even engage? Like, why would I even want to do it? And the emo kid's like, well, I mean, for the sake of your honor, bro, like, do you really want to be known as the guy who chickened out because he's a chicken? And James is like, well, I mean, I don't really care, but I also don't want to be known as the guy who went on, who during the dance last Friday grabbed the DJ's microphone and like stopped the music to like ask out a girl who was very clearly in the middle of dancing with someone else, and then come into school the next day super angry with a bunch of sticks and try and like fight some guy to get the girl that already obviously said no to him twice. At this point, the emo kid's like, so what you're saying is that you're too scared to fight me, and because you know you'll lose. James is like, dude, we're going in circles right now. I'm not fighting you. I'm not having a sword fight to the death. Like, okay, I'm just not doing that. At this point, the emo kid's like, fine. Well, you're about to see me in my final form, where I am the most powerful. And James is like, okay. Like, word. And then the emo kid reaches up to James and rips out like a strand of his hair. And James is like, dude, like, that hurt. Like, why would you do that? And the emo kid's like, I need that for my wizardly spells. And he like laughs really awkwardly and like shuffles out of there. And James turns to Kate. He's like, dude, like, what life choice did I make to get myself to this position? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, what choices did I make that got me here? And Kate's like, I don't know. Like, this is kind of tough. He's like, yes, why me? Like, why? Like, you just came up to me with a bunch of sticks and says, I want to fight you, right? And then all of a sudden, you know, he just like pulls a piece of hair. Like, what? Huh? Bro? I just don't know. I just don't know what to do at this point. And Kate's like, yeah, I don't know. But like, I think eventually he'll just get bored of whatever he's doing and give up. So anyways, next day, it is lunch. Lunch once again. And James comes in and he finds Kate. And he's almost like they sit down. And he's almost like, he's really stiff. He's like not talking that much. And Kate's like, are you good? Like, is everything okay? And James is like, dude, it's not you. It's just the emo. I just don't know what that kid's going to do today. Like, I'm not trying to lose any more hair. Like, that really hurt last night. Like, I was starting to bleed from my scalp where he pulled me. Like, that was ridiculous. And, you know, Kate's like, yeah, that kid's pretty weird. Like, sorry you have to go through with that. And speak of the devil, dude. Because at that point, the emo kid walks in. And at this point, he has a backpack on. And he has a smaller stick. And he has a stick in his hand, a smaller one. And a spirit Halloween wizard hat on. and James is like, you gotta be kidding me, bro. Like, you gotta be kidding me. And at this point, Kate's like, what? She turns around and she's like, oh my God. And the emo kid walks up and he's like, ha ha ha, like, this is where you made your mistake, James. This is where you made your last mistake. And he walks out, and he sits next, and he like stands up next to them. He reaches into his backpack or whatever. He takes out a piece of chalk. He takes out a plastic bag that has a hair in it, presumably James's hair. And he also has like a candle set and a lighter. And he sits down on their he like sits down next to them, and so they had concrete floors in the lunchroom. So next to them, he draws like a pentagram, puts a bunch of like candles around like the pentagram, takes James's hair, puts it in the middle, lights all the candles. At this point, like, this is taking like 2 minutes to do. Kate and James are just sitting there looking at him, completely aghast. Like, what is this kid? What is this kid on? Like, whatever he's on, dude, like, maybe get me some of that. Oh my God. No, but they were just like, I mean, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to say? So eventually the emo kid has his whole, I don't know, his magic setup is all done or whatever you want to call it. And he starts lighting all the candles. He's like, James, this is your last chance. Give me your girlfriend and I won't put a spell on you. And James is like, dude, what do you mean give me my girlfriend? Like, it's like a mutual choice to be like girlfriend and boyfriend. Like, you're acting as if this is like the 1600s or something, and like the wife is the property of the husband, bro. Like, what are you talking about? And, you know, he's like, one more chance, bro. I'm about to put a crazy spell on you if you don't give me your girlfriend. And this is when Kate speaks up and is like, dude, like, even if he said that he was going to give me to you, I'm not going to be your boyfriend. Like, I'm not going to be your girlfriend, dude. And the emo kid's like, well, I'm going to put a spell on you too, dude, if you don't become my... He literally threatens Kate. And he's like, oh, if you don't become my girlfriend, I'm going to put a spell on you as well, which... Okay, I might not be the smoothest individual. I might not be, I don't know, the one that has the greatest pickup lines of all time. My Tinder one's pretty funny. I did steal it from my friend, but maybe I'll 5,000 likes and I'll reveal it, because it's pretty funny, but it's also a little embarrassing. But here's one thing I do know. There's a very decent chance that if you threaten to cast a spell on a woman if she doesn't become your girlfriend, she's probably, not 100%, but probably not gonna become your girlfriend. I know I might be going out on a crazy limb right now, and you guys might completely disagree, and maybe you found your wife of 10 years who loves you very much from threatening her with magical spells. I just don't think that's a great way to do it. So eventually the emo kid finishes up, and then he lights the hair in the middle, and then he takes his magic wand, waves it around, and just starts saying a bunch of nonsense. And at this point, half the entire cafeteria is just like looking. They've almost like circled around it like it was a school fight or something. They've circled around it and they're just like, what the frick, bro? Like, oh my God, like what's going on right now? And eventually the emo kid like points his magic wand at James and is like, ooga booga, or I don't know. He's just saying some nonsense. And like literally 15 seconds of pure silence happened. And then very clearly nothing happens. And he's like, I'm going to give you one more chance. I'm going to count to 3. If you don't, you're going to explode because of my spells. And James is like, I think I'm going to take the risk. He's like, 3? I'm going to give you one more chance, bro. Like, I'm going to give you one more chance. And James is like, nope. I'm going to take the risk here. 2? And he's like, yeah, no, I'm good, man. Like, you can go ahead with this. If I explode, I explode. Like, that's tough. 1? Last chance, dude. I'm being super generous right now. Just give me your girlfriend and we'll be all good here. And James is like, nah, I'm chilling, bro. He's like, fine. Kicks it. The emo kid literally kicks over his magic, like, whatever set. Because I think he knew it wasn't going to work anyways. Which, thankfully, it was concrete floors and nothing, like, flammable. Because, like, the candles fly all over the place or whatever. And he storms out of there. He, like, storms out of there. At this point, James sits back down. He's like, maybe we should go on dates at night when we're not in school. And Kate's like, that's not a bad idea. So the next day, Kate and James actually don't sit together at lunch. They sit separately. So they decide that if they're going to like do anything, at least for a little bit, to do it outside of school, like after school or at lunch or something like that. But the emo kid once again comes up to James, and James is like, oh my God, dude, like, what? What now? And the emo kid, like, he literally goes on one knee and, like, kind of, like, presents, he's down on one knee, puts his head down and says, like, I concede the battle, you win. Like, I tried everything possible, but you are the better duelist. Like, I honorably concede. And in James's head, he's like, bro, he didn't say this, but he's like, bro, you did not honorably concede. You did the least honorable, you did not concede honorably. But at this point, James sees this as a perfect opportunity for the emo kid to just stop. So he's like, all right, man, like, it was a good battle. It was really close, and you'll get them next time. Like, honestly, James is trying to be as chill as possible so that the emo kid doesn't come back and be like, well, actually, I'm going to try more magic or something. And the emo kid stands up, and he, like, kind of, like, nods his head. And James nods his head back, and the emo kid bows and leaves. And yeah, after that point, James and Kate actually were able to like do like lunch dates or whatever in school again. The relationship lasted like 6 months. It didn't last crazy long, but Kate and James are still cool to this day. And yeah, the emo kid never
Click on the video
bothered
on
them
screen
after
right
this
now.
point.
I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it. Do it.
How's it going, everyone? Today we got a story time of an emo kid who believes that he is an actual gangster, quote unquote, and that he has shooters and that you should watch out for him, bro. He is actually super hard. He is like, you don't want to mess with the emo kid, man. So yeah, the subscriber messes with the emo kid and he feels the wrath of the emo kid, which I don't know if you guys can't figure out from the sarcasm in my voice, at least in the beginning part, that the wrath of the emo kid is, it's pretty bearable to say the least. This is a pretty funny story. I know you'll enjoy it. So sit back, relax, leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, and let's get right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted today's story Tyler. So anyways, in Tyler's class, there's a kid, and we're going to call this kid the emo kid. So I don't know if you guys had like the emo kid in your school, but basically the emo kid in Tyler's school was very much the stereotypical emo kid. And let me just say, you can dress however you want. You can even dress a little emo if you want. Like, it really doesn't matter. As long as you aren't going around going up to people being like, I got shooters, bro, watch out, don't mess with emo squad, gang, and then start biting people, then you're okay in my books, which I feel like it's pretty easy to, dude, I've been saying this stuff, but like, I feel like it's pretty easy to be good in my books, bro. That's all I'm trying to say. It's pretty easy to be good in my books. But anyways, right? So there's an emo kid in Tyler's class. So anyways, right, the emo kid, what he would do is in the class, he'd normally sit in the very back of class, and he would make like random remarks and references to how society is against him and how, like, I don't know, think about like the emo kids from South Park, basically just that. I think they're the goth kids in South Park, but anyways, right, just like randomly in class, he'd be like, it's so tough that we live in a society. Like, I am so smart and intelligent, that's why I can't be happy. Look, guys, if you want a good quote, look at Naval Ravikant saying, if you're so smart, why can't you make yourself happy? He has a really good book on that type. He has good talks. Anyways, I'm getting distracted. Anyways, he'd be like, we live in a society. Aren't I so intelligent, guys? And he'd, like, look around at everyone, and, like, Tyler and everyone else would be like, okay, bro, like, okay. Other days, he would come in and have, like, music on full blast, but he has headphones on. But I don't know if you know those people that, like, they put their headphones on, but they just turn up the music so loud that you can hear it very faintly. If that's true about you, you got to turn your music down unless you don't want to hear when you're 28, right? Like, you got to turn that down a little bit. But, dude, I swear, like, people will come in, and it's like they have no idea, because, you know, you got headphones in. When you got headphones in, you think that no one else can hear what you're listening to, but they can hear it if it's way too loud, bro. So the emo kid would come in, and he would just have, like, screamer punk rock in his ears or whatever, and he'd just be, like, jamming out in the back of class. So he'd be in the way back of the classroom, so the teacher wouldn't really notice any of this. But, like, if you were sitting in the back of the classroom, you'd probably be like, emo kid, can you turn it down, bro? Like, please? And he'd just be so busy jamming out and talking about how society is bad or whatever. However, one day, Tyler was able to, had his first one-on-one interaction with the emo kid. It was probably one of the worst one-on-one interactions you could ever have. Yeah, so anyways, one day, Tyler is walking to class. Gets to class, sits down, it's a normal day in class. So this time, you know, the bell rings and he gets up. So normally, the emo kid, right, is in, like, he sits in the back of the class, so he's normally one of the last people out. But today, Tyler has to, like, do something really quickly. Maybe he just wants to send an email that he knows he's going to forget to send if he doesn't send it right away. Like, it's one of those things where if you, like, put it off and then you just, like, say, oh, I'll do that later, you know you'll forget to do it later. So something like that. For some reason, Tyler was just sticking behind class a little bit. So when Tyler got up, he started walking, but the emo kid was, like, walking as, like, so Tyler was getting up from his desk, and the emo kid was walking with his, like, screamer metal in his ears, and he's, like, his head's down, he's looking at his phone, trying to find the next, like, Society Sucks song that he can find, and sure enough, Tyler accidentally bumps into him as he gets up. So anyways, Tyler looks up and is like, my fault, bro. Kind of just saying sorry, because he's like, hey, I bumped into him, like, that's on me. But the emo kid, like, stops in his tracks. Like, straight up stops in his tracks. Like, takes out his phone, pauses his emo screamer music, takes off his headphones, and is like, you got a problem, bro? And, like, Tyler's like, nah, my fault, I just didn't see you coming. And Tyler goes down to, like, move or whatever, and the emo kid stretches out his arm to stop Tyler from moving. Look, this is obviously not a big deal. Like, this is so very clearly just, like, not that deep. However, there are some people out there that will make everything, they're just looking for a reason to be mad at people, right? They're just looking for a reason to be upset. And the emo kid was one of those people. Because the emo kid is like, bro, you don't understand, bro. You don't know where I come from in my gang. And Tyler's like, okay. He's like, it's the emo gang. We are the Wolf Clan. And, like, Tyler's like, don't laugh. No, don't laugh. Don't laugh. No. And the emo kid's like, bro, you don't understand what you're doing right now, bro. You don't even understand. my gang, my squad, Wolf Clan is like so crazy, bro. Like, you don't understand. And like Tyler's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. If I laugh, it's gonna piss this kid off more. Here's the thing, Tyler wasn't really that worried about Wolf Clan or the emo gang or whatever, right? He kind of understood that, yeah, it's not like, okay, it's probably just some like kids playing Dungeons and Dragons and they're gonna like put a spell on him or something. So he's not too worried about that, but at the same time, he also doesn't want this kid to be super freaking annoying, because he's not worried about his, like, safety. He's worried about his mental safety from a barrage of annoyance, bro. That's what he's worried about, being just annoyed again and again by this emo kid. So, yeah, sure enough, he's like, all right, bro, like, it was a mistake. I didn't mean to bump into you. I'm sorry. Look, guys, sometimes you just gotta, like, say, I'm sorry, even if, like, you're not even totally in the wrong. In situations where you just want to de-escalate and get out of there, it really doesn't matter who is actually in the wrong. If you just say, I'm sorry, a lot of times you can actually de-escalate situations. A lot of time, bro, these people are not worth your time. Just a little word of advice, you can choose to take it or not. But this emo kid was like, bro, you don't understand who you just messed with, bro. He's like, you'll be hearing from the gang, bro. I got shooters, bro. It's just like the cringiest thing you've ever heard. This kid obviously just watched like one TikTok video where someone was using like all this slang vocabulary, right? And he's like, oh my God, guys, that's literally me. He's like trying to apply it to his like the emo kid squad. It just is something else, bro. That's all I'm trying to say. So sure enough, right, Tyler's like, oh, crap. Like, I got to deal with this kid now. Like, I really got to deal with this kid and his actual nonsense. And so, yeah, sure enough, Tyler's like, okay, whatever, bro, fine. So he's like, all right, sorry, man, I'll see you tomorrow. And the emo kid's like, yeah, you'll see me and you'll see me and Wolfgang, bro, like Wolf Clan. You don't understand what you've done. Oh, something like just, oh my God. Tyler's like, oh God, if I laugh at this kid, it's gonna piss him off more, and that's just gonna make my life even more, just even worse than it is. It's going to be after this kid is like done with his nonsense. So Tyler was kind of hoping that this kid was more or less bluffing, and he was just gonna like forget about this and just like this wasn't gonna become a thing. You know what I mean? Anyways, right, so Tyler comes back the next day, and unfortunately, so at like kind of like their free period recess type thing, I don't really know how to say it. I don't really know how to put it right. So during their kind of free block or whatever, so Tyler, what he does is he just kind of like he chills in this area with some of his friends. So I don't know. Let's just say it's a certain classroom that they have access to. Maybe no one's in it and no one's ever in it during that period, but he has it free. So Tyler's sitting with his friends or whatever, they're just kind of hanging out. And that's when the emo kid and two other similarly dressed emo-looking type people walk in. And the emo kid is like, it's like, Tyler, I already told you that you disrespected Wolf Clan, and you have to understand, this is Wolf Clan's turf, bro. You don't want to battle with Wolf Clan, bro. Like, I'm just saying, like, look at us. And Tyler looks at them and he's like, I'm not intimidated, dude. I don't know how else to put it. I'm just not intimidated by this, bro. Anyways, right, so the emo group is up versus Tyler and his friends. And the emo group is trying to explain in the most menacing way that they possibly can to Tyler and his friends that, you know, they are messing with, Wolf Pack, whatever, that the emo gang is actually not to be messed with and that they're making a huge mistake, like, doing this on their turf. And, like, Tyler and his friends, Tyler kind of motions to his friends to kind of, like, not laugh because, like, look, at the end of the day, Tyler isn't trying to start anything with anyone. It just wouldn't be worth his time, you feel me? Like, it just would not be worth his time to have a whole, like, thing with these emo kids, right? So anyways, Tyler kind of responds, look, guys, well, I mean, there's 10 minutes left in the free period. Can we just, like, finish up here and then you can have it afterwards? Emo kid's like, you don't understand. You disrespected me yesterday, and that is not gonna stand. Right, emos? And he, like, turns around, and, like, the other two are, like, I don't know, whipping their hair around and, like, sulking in the corner. He's like, yeah, you hear me, bro? You hear me? Obviously, Tyler's just like, oh, my God. So he looks at his friends. He's kind of like, maybe we should go. Because at this point, it's kind of like they can stay there, hold their ground, and just basically have to deal with this kid being annoying for the next 10 minutes, or they go somewhere else and they can chill and relax for the next like 8 minutes, because it'll probably take like at least 2 minutes to go find a new place. However, though, well, the second one might sound more appealing off the bat because you don't have to deal with their nonsense for another 10 minutes. We can't forget that at the end of the day, if you kind of give in to someone, then they might just continue to do it. Like, if they, like, give in to the emo kids right now, there's a good chance that if they try and do something else or try and, like, be somewhere else at the emo kids' next free period, because apparently they have overlap, they're going to do the same stuff. Like, they're going to come and they're going to try and bully them out of there, because at the end of the day, like, if you let someone do something to you, they're probably going to keep doing it. It's like they're going to keep pushing the boundaries. So if you keep letting them, they're going to keep pushing the boundaries. Like, why would you expect that they won't do something after you let someone do it once? So Tyler's a little bit conflicted, but his friend's like, no, we're not going anywhere. You can have this spot in 10 minutes, but we got here, like, first. And also, like, you guys can be here too. It's an open classroom. And, like, Tyler's friend had a point. They weren't in, like, a broom closet. Like, there was room for multiple people to be in the classroom. It's not like Tyler and his friends reserved the entire classroom. It's not like that's even a thing you could do. And there's plenty of room for the emo kids if they really wanted to. But obviously the emo kids were not really that interested in the spot. Honestly, I don't even think that they really cared about being in this classroom. They just cared more, or I should say the main emo kid. I think the other two were just going along with like what the main guy said. The main guy basically just wanted to get like back at Tyler. He wanted to kind of like flex his muscle, quote unquote, to show Tyler that he shouldn't have messed with the emo squad in the first place. And this will be like, he'll never forget this lesson for the rest of his life. Yeah, so, Tyler's like, yeah, like, actually, that's a good point. I mean, if you guys want to be here too, that's whatever, but we're not going to move. So at this point, the emo kid is like, you don't understand who you're messing with right now, bro. Like, you don't even know right now. So he gets up and he likes, like, all right, boys, let's get out of here. And they all walk out of there. So Tyler turns to his friends. And he kind of, like, explained a little bit, like, to them. Like, he got on, like, call or something, Discord call. When he got back home, he's like, bro, I had the weirdest interaction with that kid in class today. And he told them about it. But his friends didn't realize to what extent it was a weird interaction. And this is, like, kind of, like, their visual proof. Yeah, so, Tyler's friends were kind of like, bro, like, I feel bad for you, dude. Like, the fact you have to deal with this is kind of funny. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment emo down below. So go in the comment section and comment emo, and if you're listening on Spotify, I think there's a comment section too. But anyways, while you're in the comment section on YouTube, if you go to the pinned comment, there's 2 links. The first one is a link to Spotify, which I'm trying to really build up on there. I got some, like, I'm starting to build good relationships with people at Spotify, so I would appreciate it if you guys do use it to go over there and listen to me on there. It would be very nice. And the second thing is, actually later today, I think, or maybe tomorrow, but I think later today, I will be dropping my first Storytime animation on my new Storytime animated channel. It's called Harvey. It is the link in the description that isn't the Spotify one. Please subscribe to the channel with notifications on. I will be posting no more than once a week because, dang, this has taken a while, but it's really, like, artistically fulfilling. I feel like I'm putting out something a little bit more value. This stuff is great. I love doing the daily stories on here, but I feel like I'm putting something more out on that channel. So I would really appreciate if you could go support that video. I'll also notify you guys later today when it goes up. Anyways, let's get back to the story. So anyways, Tyler's kind of hoping that this whole emo kid versus him turf battle basically is going to die down, because he's like, this might be the dumbest thing I've ever had to deal with in my life. So please tell me that this is going to kind of like relax pretty soon, if you know what I mean. But it kind of didn't. Like, for the next, like, week, like, it wasn't every single day that the emo kids would come and do the exact same thing. But, for example, one day Tyler was walking the hallway, and the emo kid, like, ran up behind him and was like, rawr! And he's like, what the frick, bro? And he turns around, and, I mean, look, it wasn't, like, scary. Like, he wasn't scared. He didn't, like, pee his pants, bro. But, like, look, I don't know about you, but I'm just genuinely not going to expect some kid to run up to me out of the blue and scream "rawr" in my face, like, when I'm not seeing it coming, right? That's not on my list of this is what I expect to see, you know what I mean? Yeah, so just, like, weird little things like that would happen, but the real climax of the story, when things get really strange, you might be thinking, Connor, did you just say when things get really strange, are they not strange already? Yes, they are not strange already, because, the final event is back where things all started, in that class.
So it's been pretty tense for the last week, or not tense. Okay, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. But Tyler is at a minimum not having a great time in class. He goes into class and the emo kid is always staring him down. And sometimes in class he'll feel like little pelts of like balled up paper being thrown at him, and he's like really just holding his tongue at this point. He's like, dude, just don't blow up on this kid. I know he's annoying, but it's gonna be super not worth it to like get super mad at this kid and maybe get in trouble or whatever, or just to instigate him more. Because Tyler was under the false notion that things were actually slowing down because the emo kid was like, I don't know, showing up less, doing less stupid stuff. So Tyler was under the false assumption that, oh, well, actually maybe things are kind of relaxing a little bit. Yeah, so anyways, though, this was kind of like not, this kind of proof that things did not relax. They will after this point, but anyways, it felt like a normal day in class. It always feels like a normal day when things go crazy in these stories, but it seemed like a normal day in class. So Tyler gets in there, and, you know, he just kind of sits where he normally sits. This is not the most interesting class, so Tyler kind of, you know, the thing is, the teacher lets him go on his computer, or lets everyone go on their computer, which, look, I'm in college, and I you know, every class basically lets you go on your computer, because sometimes it's, like, important for you to do stuff on there, but let's be real, most kids on their computer, including me sometimes, Mom, if you're watching this, no, not me, but if everyone else watching this, yeah, me all the time, you go in there and you probably are doing something else. Just being straight up, this is how it is. So, yeah, Tyler is kind of like expecting just to kind of like to chill, kind of the vibe, whatever. And that's when he feels like breathing on the back of his neck. So he turns around. He's like, hey, yo, what? Turns around, looks at the emo kid. Hey, Tyler. And Tyler's like, oh, hell nah, bro. No. Oh, my God. Because this has never happened before. Because this is in the middle of class right now. The kid gets up from way back in the class and gets up to stand right behind him. And is just like heavily breathing in the back of his neck. Tyler's afraid he's going to get some emo disease that's going to go to his brain and turn him into a goth kid, bro. He's mad concerned. Anyways, so yeah. Tyler's just like, oh, geez, what's this kid gonna do now? Like, I'm actually genuinely kind of concerned. I just don't want to deal with whatever this kid's gonna pull. So the kid's like, hey, Tyler, I just want to let you know that it was a huge mistake for you to mess with the emo squad. I guess this kid was out of breath from standing up, which I guess figures. I don't really know. And Tyler, like, is like, dude, like, we're in class. Can you please go sit down? Because, like, no one's talking in class. Like, this is not one of those classes where the teacher's completely lost control. Sure, a lot of kids aren't paying attention, but there's a huge difference between kids not paying attention and kids, like, being super disruptive, right? This is not a disruptive class. So Tyler, who's not trying to get in trouble, because this teacher, while he's kind of chill, is also known for not really being, like, super nice, or like at least calling kids out when they're talking in class, which, like, fair enough, bro, you're not supposed to be talking in class. Like, I guess I get that. And the emo kid's like, dude, like, you can't just like you just can't get rid of me that easily, bro. It's not that easy, dude. And it's Charlie, sorry, what's his name, Tyler's like, oh my God. Yeah, but Tyler's like, okay, bro, can you please go? And emo kid's like, yes, but I'm just going to be charging up my next emo attack. Ugh. And Tyler's like, okay. The thing is, Tyler, like, didn't realize what this kid was saying. Tyler didn't realize when he said, I'm charging up my next emo attack, that he was actually going to be freaking attacked, bro. Tyler didn't put two and two together. The only thing Tyler heard was, I'm not going to be here right now. I'm going to go back to where I'm sitting. So, of course, Tyler's happy about that. He's like, right. All right now. This kid's out of here. You simply love to see it. But no. It's just not like that, man. So sure enough, the emo kid goes back to his seat. Tyler goes back to doing what he's doing. Tyler legitimately completely forgets about the emo kid again. Goes back into his own little bubble. It's a Friday, man. Vibes are good. He's almost out of school. About to go back to the weekend. Hop on with the boys, right? Things are looking real good. And that's when he feels this hot, like, sharp pain in his leg. Yeah, so Tyler looks down, because when you feel a hot, sharp pain in your leg, you're going to look down and make sure that someone didn't just impale you with, like, a knife or something. But no, he looks down, and all he sees is the long black hair of the emo kid. And then he looks closer. The emo kid has bitten his leg. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, okay, saying words I can't say on YouTube because, you know, YouTube's actually getting real mad at you if you say bad words. But he screams that out. The teacher looks up. He's like, Tyler, language. In the middle of screaming at Tyler, he looks down and sees why Tyler said, like, the swear word. And he looks down to see the emo kid just chomping away at his leg. He's like, emo kid. It says his actual name, but he's like, emo kid, what are you doing right now? And like the teacher literally runs from the front of the classroom to where Tyler's sitting and like yanks the emo kid off. Was trying to yank the emo kid off, but he's like a dog like chewing on a chew toy, like he's not letting go. He's holding on to Tyler's leg just by his teeth, and Tyler's like, dude, get off of me. He's like trying to like kick him off or whatever. Eventually the emo kid's like, and like falls off of him. And like the teacher's like, what is wrong with you? And the emo kid's like, Tyler messed with the emo kid squad. He's on our turf. And he's like, stop. And the emo kid's like, I told him I got shooters and the shooters are me. And so I went up after him. And the teacher's like, what are you saying right now? What are you saying? Yeah, so emo kid is taken to the front office. The teacher says, yo, Tyler, can you just go to the nurse's office to get you checked up? Thankfully, emo kid didn't break the skin. He was biting on real hard, though. Like, it was really close call. Like, Tyler's leg was still a little messed up, and he was, like, hurting for a little bit. But the nurse was like, all right, well, he didn't break into the skin, which is good. We're still going to put some, like, you know, disinfectant wipes or whatever. But, yeah, after that point, though, the emo kid did not really mess with Tyler because apparently he got in a ton of trouble. And he was also told, if Tyler says you do anything else to him, you're screwed. Tyler doesn't know that for a fact, but just the way that the emo kid, like, avoided him, not only did the emo kid stop messing with him, but he straight up avoided Tyler. So Tyler can only assume that he was told he was on extremely thin ice, and emo kid wasn't taking any chances. If you want to support the channel, watch one of the 2 videos on screen right now. It really does help, and peace. How's it going, everyone? Today we got a story time of the cringiest emo kid ever. This is the story time of the emo squad, the emo gang that takes over the bus and runs it like a mafia. And then when the subscriber stands up to them, literally hires an emo hitman to go hunt him down. Yeah, this is a pretty crazy story that I know you'll enjoy, so sit back, relax, subscribe if you're new. Press the like button right now to claim your very own free nothing. And with that being said, let's jump into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Jeffrey. And by the way, I already know before making this that this is going to be a really long story. No, this is not a compilation video. This is not multiple short stories. Whatever length this video is, this is one story. So definitely sit down, get comfortable, and we're jumping into it. So anyways, Jeffrey takes the bus every day into school. And so when Jeffrey goes into school, right, or at least in the last year, there's this group of emo kids formed together a sort of mafia, the emo kid mafia. Dude, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I went to such a normal school compared to the stuff I get submitted. Anyways, though, but basically this year in 6th grade, Jeffrey's been taking the bus for the longest time, but only this year in 6th grade has the emo kid mafia started to appeared. So after a couple weeks, they started to go around and basically kind of like threaten people. They were like, you got to pay us like 50% of your lunch money, like, or if they had lunch money, I don't know. That's such like a classic, like, movie villain, like, or movie bully type thing, like 90s bully in a TV show is like, give me your lunch money. But somehow they were like, we need like some kind of compensation, money, Pokemon cards of value, whatever you have, right? I mean, they're in 6th grade. It's all the same. But they were basically offering protection. And if you don't know, like, especially really, like, way, like, maybe a lot in the 50s, maybe not so much now, but probably still now in some places, what the mafia would do is they would basically go around to businesses and offer quote-unquote protection services where the businesses would pay them money and they would protect them. But in reality, they were just protecting them from the mafia. The mafia would protect them from the mafia. So basically, if they didn't pay the services, the mafia would go break their windows or threaten them. So it was basically, yeah, it was basically extorting money out of them. And the emo kids must have seen a movie or something, and they decided to do the same. And the thing is, the emo kids are kind of like a group of like dorky, scrawny kids, and it was actually kind of strange how they garnered so much power off of fear and intimidation. Like, this honestly isn't even me going after them, man. I mean, I'm not the biggest guy ever. I'm not like some bodybuilder type dude. But these kids were like scrawny, they were nerdy, they had, or maybe not nerdy, they just had the emo aesthetic, which, look, it's totally fine to have the emo aesthetic, like there's literally nothing wrong with that. However, like, I don't know, I'm just not going to be intimidated, be like, wow, the person with, the black nail polish, the long black hair, all the goth makeup on, the chains, the spike boots, the spike collar, and is sitting in the back listening to screamer music. I'm not necessarily going to be like, wow, you garner my respect and I will bow down to you because you are physically intimidating. Like, that's just kind of not going to be the case in this situation. So it's actually really confusing how the emo kids got all this power in the first place. But once they got the power, they started to absolutely abuse it. It wasn't too bad because in the very beginning, at least it wasn't too bad for the subscriber, because in the very beginning, the emo kids only picked on a few people to offer their quote-unquote protection services. But what happened is while they were doing this, they were also offering what they called like end membership to the emo society or whatever, which was like a bigger thing. So like the emo kids, like it was like a couple of them at first. And at first it was just like them, I don't know, bullying kids on the bus into like their mafia or whatever. But then after that, what they ended up doing was they expanded to like a whole like emo society. It was very weird. Like my high school is very normal, or middle school, compared to the stuff that you're sending me. I think I had like one emo kid max, but there were no like gangs of emo kids threatening to like beat me up or anything like that. Like, I don't know where you guys went to school, but definitely not where I went to school. Yeah, but anyways, basically the emo culture, whatever squad, it's just, I'm gonna call it society. I think that sounds funniest. Was also recruiting members, so it was like getting bigger and bigger, which meant that it's like authority and influence was also getting bigger and bigger. And like people knew this. So all of a sudden the emo kids started like basically try and like wrangle money out of more and more people. So as the weeks went on, the subscriber noticed that like the emo kids, because he was kind of paying attention, in the very beginning, the emo kids would like go up to a very select and few group of people to offer them their quote unquote protection services, which was obviously like protection from them, which in the very beginning, like it would be be very select few people that would be afraid, quote unquote, of the emo kids. And the emo kids were also they were actually, they were a little bit smart, I'm not going to lie, because they knew that if they went up to like the most, like the biggest jock, whatever kid, and they threatened him and he was just like, lol, no, that would definitely set a bit of a precedent for everyone else and they would lose a lot of their grip. So they started with the kids that they could bully the easiest. However, as the emo cult or whatever got bigger and bigger, they were able to expand their reach and start like going after more and more people. So this started going on for weeks, and at one point, before the story really begins, it was like around 90% of people who went on the bus would every single day have to give up some sort of valuable thing for quote-unquote protection, right? It got so bad that kids would literally just have the money out like in an envelope or just like in their pocket just to like make the whole thing go easier. It was like it was part of their daily routine to pay these sweaty emo kid nerds to like leave them alone, basically. And people were starting to talk about it. Like the emo society was starting to get like an actual like reputation at the school, which this is the goofiest thing I've ever heard. Like, I don't know how something that an organization that calls them the emo society is able to garner like a threatening reputation. It just literally makes zero sense to me. But whatever, man. What are you gonna do? So sure enough, right? This the subscriber is noticing this. And it got so bad that he was at the lunch table and one of his friends was like, yeah, man, I've been like paying the emo kids for about a week. And the subscriber's like, dude, why are you paying them? And the subscribers' friends were like, well, they have a vast network of people. They have people in different places. If I it's just like, it's not a lot of money that they're asking for. That's another thing. The emo kids I think I said 50% like a little while ago. My correction, it was like not 50%. It was like a very insignificant amount. I mean, here's the thing you got to know though. Like an insignificant amount every day adds up to a super significant amount. The emo kids, once again, were actually kind of like nerds in the fact that they were pretty smart. Because one, they started small so that they kept a reputation and didn't lose it by getting owned in the very beginning. And two, the amount that they were asking every single day was really small. But here's the thing, small purchases add up over time. Honestly, like, a lot of your life is the sum of your actions. Like, if you go to the gym every day, you're not going to see you're not going to see changes. You're not going to feel changes. Well, in the very beginning, it's a lot faster. But generally speaking, it is the sum of the microscopic changes, the sum of them that add up to something big. And like financial management, like when you start to like manage your own bank accounts, if you guys aren't old enough for that, or you're not really managing your own money, you're going to find that if you spend like $3 a night, like, or if you spend $3 on a bag of chips or something, or I think bag of chips is like $1.50. If you spend $3 on snacks, let's say, and you really don't need to have those snacks, but you're like, man, whatever, it's $3. Here's the thing. You do that for a week, that's 21 bucks. You do that for a month, and all of a sudden you're looking at like 80, 85 bucks. And then it just adds up like that. And then all of a sudden you spend almost $100 on snacks, and you might not be able to spare $100 a month. You know what I mean? So the emo kids were real smart, because they didn't go up to these kids and be like, give me all of your money, because I think they would have gotten a lot more pushback than, well, if they're only asking for a little bit. Dude, a little bit every day really adds up. So yeah, the subscriber's friend admitted to giving money to the emo kids, and that's when the subscriber knew things were going too far. So one fateful day, the subscriber, as always, was riding the bus. And he was watching as the emo kids were going up and going through and trying to get the money or whatever. There was about 4 emo kids on the bus, right? Or 4 members of the emo kid society. There was a lot more members, like in general, but there was 4 of them on the bus. And the subscriber notices that today they're a lot more aggressive than usual. And I don't mean aggressive in the sense of like, give me the money now. They were always very just normal with that. Like they were trying to be classy mafia, right? Whatever that means. When I mean aggressive, I mean with the number of people that they were trying. They normally, like very recently, they went all the way up to 90%. But this time, it looked like they were going up to every individual on the bus. They must have made a decision at like the executive emo society council or whatever that, okay, we have enough power, might as well just get that extra 10% that has not been paying us. Like for 6th graders, this is like actual organization. I don't know. It's low-key kind of impressive. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but low-key it's kind of impressive. Anyways, though, so yeah, sure enough, the subscriber watches as one of the emo kids comes up to him. And in the subscriber's mind, he's like, no way that the emo kid genuinely believes that I'm going to pay him. Because, yeah, one thing I will say is there's a reason why the subscriber wasn't targeted right away. There's a reason why the subscriber was in the last 10% of people that they actually tried to deal with. Subscriber was I should say, he's still alive, right? But the subscriber is a relatively big guy. He's kind of, he's a bit more intimidating. He's fairly popular. He's fairly respected. And he definitely would have been one of the last guys to give money to a bunch of sweaty emo nerd kids, right? Would have definitely been one of the last ones. But since the emo kids were given the executive order to, all right, well, time to target everyone, since the subscriber was riding the bus, well, he was one of everyone. So they eventually went up to him. And the subscriber was almost in disbelief when some, like, emo kid coming over with long black hair with a shirt that says, F society, bro. Ooh, woo. Rawr. Just, like, a lot of cringe or something like that. Please don't clip that. God. Anyways, like, someone like that comes up to him and is like, hey, dude, like, I'm sure you know about the Emo Society Protection Services, and I just thought, it'd be pretty smart of you to, to chip in a little bit. Really, really goes a long way. Like, bro was acting like he was at the cashier being like, would you like to give $2 to starving kids in this country? It's like, would you like to do that? Bro was acting the same way like that. Except the difference between the guy in the cash register asking if you want to give $1 or $2 to starving kids in some country, right? The difference is that's an actual charitable organization, obviously. Some of them don't give as much as you think, and you have to really look into that. Just another little tip/advice. However, this was not some charitable organization. This was literally going to the Emo Kid Fund, which, I don't know, funded their Pokemon card collection, their Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments. Dude, what? And that's no dig to Pokemon cards. Dude, I used to love that in 5th grade. Pokemon Season 1 is goated. I didn't really watch it beyond that, but I'm sure the other seasons were pretty good too. So yeah, I don't know. The subscriber's just looking at them with this look of shock and disbelief. So the subscriber kind of he makes eye contact with the emo kid who says this. The emo kid is looking at him, and it's funny. The emo kid is almost looking at this kid like impatiently. It's like the emo kid's like, "Come on, bro! Like, I don't got all day. We're not gonna be on the bus forever." And the subscriber's like, "Hey, man, like, I think I'm gonna have to decline, right?" And the emo kid looks at him like he just said like unintelligible gibberish, right? It's like he was speaking tongues for a second. The emo kid's like, dude, I don't really think you know what you're doing when you say that, bro. And the subscriber's like, what? What are you gonna do? And the funniest thing is that like the emo kid was like stuttering after he was asked what is he gonna do. Because like the way that the emo kids went about it was very strategic in the way that they kind of like built intimidation without actually ever enforcing intimidation. And they also never really directly threatened. They always implied. So the subscriber was basically like, what are you gonna do about it, bro? It was so funny because like the emo kid legitimately just didn't really know what the protocol was because no one had ever said no to them. So the emo kid's like, well, you're definitely not going to want to do that. Kind of just the once again, the whole like, oh, you're messing up, bro. Where it's like, am I? Like, am I actually messing up? Because it kind of just seems like you guys really just don't want me to do that. Like, it doesn't seem like you actually have any bite. It seems like a lot of bark, but it seems like, you know, I don't know if you guys have ever walked by a house with the loudest barking dog. One thing I've noticed, because look, I have pugs or I've always had pugs throughout my entire life. They're small little puffballs, right? They bark so loud. I found that like the dogs making the most noise are normally the small little harmless ones. And the big dogs that could actually like rip your esophagus out of your throat, those ones are pretty silent and only bark when they really need to. And it's kind of the same here. Like the emo kid gang squad, whatever, it's like they have a lot of bark, but there's no bite. So yeah, anyways, right, the emo kid walks over to the other four emo kids. They're talking, and then all four of them walk over. And they're like, one of them's like, dude, I heard you decided not to get the insurance plan, which is, I totally suggest against. I mean, I'm just going to say this right now, but everyone else here has bought the insurance plan, and it's just, look at them. They're all safe. They're all good. They're all happy. Like, they're safe. I really don't think that, you know, you should not do it. And like the subscribers think to himself, wait a minute. This is like the worst logic I've ever heard. So in Family Guy, there's a really funny clip, super relevant, by the way, where Peter, I forgot exactly what, but he like buys, you know, I think like mythical dragon insurance. And he's like trying to argue that, well, he hasn't had any mythical dragons attack him. So it's actually working out. And this is low-key the same thing. It's like if I was to offer, like if I was paying $10,000 a month and like, alien abduction insurance. And I'm like, guys, it's so worth it. Like, or alien abduction protection. I'm like, guys, this is so worth it. Have I been abducted by aliens? Like, bro, proof. Yeah, kind of the same kind of logic right there. So the subscriber tells the emo kids, like, that's terrible logic, bro. Like, just because they're paying for protection doesn't mean they're actually being protected from anything. And the emo kids are like, well, you know, if you don't pay up right now, well then you're gonna wish that you paid for it. And the subscriber's like, what? What do you mean? If I don't pay right now, I'm gonna wish I paid for it? Like that literally makes no sense, bro. Like I hate to break it to you, but you're not the smartest cookie, bro. You're not the sharpest knife in the drawer by a mile. Yeah, so anyways, right, the emo kid, like all four of them are like, you know what? Okay, you're not gonna buy the protection plan? Then you're not gonna be protected, bro. And, you know, he's like, okay. The subscriber's like, cool. And they're like, because people are starting to look around. Like, people are starting to look up. They're starting to look at, like, what's going on. They're starting to talk. And I think the emo kids are realizing that, like, if they don't do something, like, if they don't start to, like, I don't know, actually follow through with their threats or actually make a threat, well then, dude, no one's going to take them seriously anymore. So they all go away and they sit down in like the emo reserve section. Yeah, this is like the goofiest thing I've ever heard, but apparently they have like a kind of a quote unquote reserve section for the emo kids. I don't get it either, guys. Don't ask me. And then, so they were like plotting in there, and the subscriber's like, oh my God, like this is so cringe. And yeah, so sure enough, right, the emo kids, eventually all get up and they all walk back over and they're like, dude, like, you're going to have to fight us, bro. And the subscriber's like, what? He's like, yeah, you're going to have to do a 1v1 match in front of everyone to respect your honor. And the subscriber's like, I'm not doing that. And they're like, well, it's not a choice, bro. He's like, you have to fight our best fighter. And he points to one of the emo kids. Look, no disrespect to the emo kid, but that's my official reaction. That's my official comment on the fight, right? If I had to give fight commentary, it would just be like a snort laugh. Literally. That would be my fight commentary of the day. So, yeah. Basically why why I think it's funny, because they're like, this is our best fighter. Points to some guy who's like super scrawny, and look, I'm low-key got the skeleton build. Like, I've been going to the gym 6 months, right? I'm looking a little better for sure, but at the end of the day, I still got the Minecraft skeleton build. There's no question about it. So I can only say so much, but at the same time, I'm not going to parade around as someone's best fighter. You know what I mean? So yeah, they're like, yeah, this is our best fighter. Points to some kid. He's like hunched over, like literally he's walking around and carrying himself like he's a 95-year-old man when he's like 14 or whatever sixth graders are at this. I don't even know anymore. He's got like super long black hair. He's like hunched over. He's in an oversized band t-shirt. He probably weighs like 60 pounds, which I probably did in sixth grade too. But I'm not saying I'm someone's best fighter. I'm not like saying like, yeah, I'm an I don't know. I'm not like an MMA heavyweight or something, bro. Like, that's the difference between him and me. So yeah, anyways, the subscriber's like, dude, like, I don't think you want to do this. And the emo kids are like, yeah, well, I think we do. And the subscriber's like, okay. And then the emo kids all had this look on their face, because I think they were really like, okay. They were really trying to just call the subscriber's bluff, which is kind of ridiculous, because why would the subscriber back out? I mean, he now knows that the only quote-unquote danger he would be protected from is the emo kid, who's like the super scrawny little kid. Oh, yeah, I need protection from him? Yeah, right, bro. Yeah, okay, man, sure. Yeah, but anyways, right, so the emo kids are like, oh, well, fine. And this is all while the bus is going on. I think the bus driver just has completely given up caring and is like, look, I get paid to transport the kids from place A to place B, and that's all I'll be doing. I'll be manning the ship even if all the passengers fight each other to the death. I don't really care. So at this point, right, word is spreading really quickly that the emo kids are finally like, oh my God, man, someone's going against the emo society. This is the dumbest idea ever. Like, how could they? Like, why don't they just pay the measly pennies or whatever? It's probably a bit more than a few pennies, but you know what I mean. So word spread really fast that there was like a quote unquote fight going on versus the emo society versus someone who didn't pay. And this, like, the emo kids, like, this rode a lot on them. Like, this was a big deal for them, because if you think about it, this will really kind of decide, how much authority they actually have. You know what I mean? Because if all of a sudden they're just saying like, oh yeah, like, you're going to pay or this is going to happen. Well, now we actually get to see what's going to quote unquote happen if you don't pay them. Before we get into the fight, which is actually pretty funny, if you made it as far into the video, comment emo down below and comment it 3 times in a row. That'll be the secret word of the day. I'll try and heart some of the comments, and there's a better chance I'll see your comment if you comment it 3 times. And also make sure to listen to this on Spotify. It will be linked in the description as well as the pinned comment. And press the like button or you will become an emo, and let's get back into it. And you're free nothing, of course. So yeah, the emo kids, or one emo kid, remember, because the fight was supposed to be the one emo kid versus the subscriber. So the one emo kid, so they do it at like the back of the bus, because like the back of the bus, it normally is like each row has 2 sets of seats. So there's on the left side, there's a seat, and on the right side, there's a seat. But at the very, very back of the bus, there's only a seat on the left side, which means the right side is like open. So they basically, quote unquote, have like a fighting arena back there, or they at least make a fighting arena as of right now. So a lot of kids are looking back. A lot of kids are super interested to see what's happening. And the subscriber really isn't worried. He's probably got about 80 pounds of muscle on this kid and probably about 5 to 6 inches of height. Maybe this emo kid isn't actually that short, but since he's hunched over because society's made him like that, he's literally like 6 inches shorter, bro. So, yeah, the subscriber doesn't plan on like pulverizing this kid. What the subscriber plans on doing is letting this kid make the first move and literally just like stopping him. Like, you know how, like, I don't know if you've ever seen like the big guy and like the small person runs after them and like tries to fight them, but the big guy outstretches his hand, and like palms the guy in his head and literally just pushes him away, like keeps him away. The subscriber doesn't actually want to hurt the kid because he doesn't want to get in trouble. And like, the emo society would totally be like, you hurt me, I'm gonna report you. So he's literally just gonna try and like dominate the kid and not let him touch him. Anyways, right, so like the subscriber was watching right before like the fight or whatever. The three other emo kids, they were like huddled behind like in a corner, like talking to each other, and they were whispering. Okay, so since they were whispering to each other, obviously the subscriber doesn't know exactly verbatim what they were saying. However, based on what they did right after, the subscriber can infer what they were saying. So basically, probably what they were saying was that one, like, our boy's gonna lose. I think they were just like looking at it really like seriously, and I think that like they put the emo kid forward before they actually realized the subscriber was actually gonna go through with it and be totally fine, like fighting the kid or whatever. And so they were like, okay, I think our boy's actually gonna lose. Second of all, they were probably saying, okay, and if our boy gets absolutely demolished, well then people are going to start to really question why they need to pay us for protection of like the emo, like why they need to pay the emo society for protection. And then if they stop paying us, then like we're going to lose our power, and then people are going to disjoin the member, and then the whole thing is going to fall apart. They started to realize that so much rode on this very thing. So they decided that they probably came to the conclusion, based on what they're about to do, that it's probably better off to just play dirty and win than lose and play fair. So right as like one of the emo kids, so they all stop huddling and talking to each other, and the emo kid's like 3, 2, 1, go. And when he says go, not only does the emo kid that was supposed to be like fighting or whatever, but all of the other 3 rush in as well. So now the subscriber has a 4v1 fight. So yeah, the subscriber sees this, and he's a little caught off guard, but he's pretty good in the fact that he doesn't let him like, I don't know, get like psyched out by it. Because I think, look, one of probably like what could have happened was, even though the subscriber could have taken 4v1, just the fact that he was basically unexpectedly taken on by 3 others, like 3 more than he expected, that might have been enough to kind of like shock him or like confuse him enough that what happens is he just gets so thrown off guard that he just, loses because of that. However, though, these were 4, I should say, kind of scrawny and insignificant emo kids. Like, not trying to be mad disrespectful to them, but just being straight up. They're not going to win, bro. There's a reason why I don't pick fights with random kids on the football team. It's just, physically, it's just not going to work, dude. And I'm just aware. I just understand, bro. So what ends up happening is all 4 of the emo kids rush in, and the subscriber, Loki's kind of clean with it. He kind of like, the first thing he does is he kind of like, they all start charging in head first, but they're charging in such a weird way. Like, what they do is they just lean forward and go charge, right? And so what the subscriber does is he realizes they're just trying to use momentum in their favor. So he just kind of like steps aside a little bit, and like all 4 of them like miss the subscriber and like crash into the back of the bus. So 2 of them were basically out for the count. Like 2 of them were like, owie, my knee. So now it's a 2v1, and they both start going in swinging. They're just like rapidly swinging their wrists, but like, since they're basically just skeletons, bro. I mean, okay, kind of me too. So like, I'm not coming for them. I'm just spitting reality. I'm speaking facts about the situation. They just start like swinging, but the subscriber just like outstretches his arm to like block against it, and one of them slaps into it, and they're like, ah, and they basically collapse to the floor because they hit the subscriber too hard for them. The subscriber's taken 0 damage at this point. And then the final emo kid is just looking at the subscriber, and he just walks away. Like, he literally just like calls a draw. So at this point, like the whole bus erupts into laughter. Like, this is the worst case scenario for the emo society. Worst case scenario. So yeah, everyone bursts into laughter. They're all like, I don't know, this is like the worst possible case scenario, as I just said. And the reason why is like if the emo kid lost the 1v1, well then okay, yeah, okay. That's pretty embarrassing and they would have lost a lot of clout, but it's not as bad as them not only losing the 4v1, which is like the most power they can exert on the bus, but they also lost it so embarrassingly. I mean, two of them basically they knocked themselves out, not literally, but they were out for the count because the subscriber stepped out of the way and they had no physical control. The other one swung on the subscriber and basically took himself out because it hurt too bad when he made contact with the subscriber, who barely flinched, and then the final one just quit. Like, dang, bro. I don't know. It's like the most embarrassing loss. So as soon as the bus stops and they all get off, word spreads of like the subscriber V4 emo kids, basically the emo society, spread so quick, and like everyone was talking about it because a lot of kids had to pay for like the emo society like protection, whatever. It wasn't just on the bus. There was like bus protection, recess protection, lunch protection, like all this type of stuff. And word spread super quickly. And the emo society was legitimately seeing the rate of people at which like did like their services. Like the bus was almost 90% at one point. Lunch and recess were like 60%. They saw it half. Like the bus, only like 30% of people the next day did it. And at recess, only like half of, or I guess like the bus would be like 50% of people did it. Recess was like 20. It was like even worse than getting halved, right? So the emo society must have, because look, the subscriber wasn't there, but it's very fair to conclude that the emo society had to have a meeting about this. Because in all fairness, the subscriber really did just like destroy the clout and the kind of the perception of this organization. Like this organization only works because of the perception. Like this organization is only like strong or powerful or whatever because of people's perception of it. Oh, look at this beautiful combo. Yeah, I'm finally good at Minecraft, guys. Now, sorry. But anyways, right. So yeah, it's just like he completely obliterated this, their reach. And the thing is too, it's not going to like stay here. It's not as if, oh, okay, only the next day half the people are buying into our protection services. It's not as if it's just going to stay steady like that. There's a good shot it continues to decay from here because the people who paid maybe just probably a good chunk of them weren't aware of the whole situation that happened. And then probably a lot of them weren't aware that so many people have stopped paying for it. So when those people become aware, then even less the next day, and then the people that still paying, they're going to be like, why am I still paying? And even less and less and less and less. So yeah, the emo society was worried. So they decided that they are going to put the subscriber on their hit list, basically. Yeah, so anyways, right, the subscriber kind of didn't really want this attention in the first place. He really wasn't looking to be like that guy, if that makes sense. Like he didn't want to have like a reputation, like even if it was a good reputation. Like no one liked the emo society. Some people, even the people who joined it, some were just joining it because they liked the fact that it was powerful. They didn't actually like the way they went about it. But most people, I can guarantee you, were definitely not a fan of paying money every single day. So he definitely got a good reputation, but I totally agree with the subscriber when in some cases, it's just honestly better to have no reputation than a reputation, even if that reputation is good. Because, like, I don't know, I definitely don't want people talking about me. I don't want anything like that. I just know. It's just like, I totally get it. However, the subscriber is also aware, well, I mean, I have this reputation now, so it's like, I don't know, at least like let me use it, you know what I mean? So sure enough, the subscriber, people would come up to him and be like, wow, man, I heard about what happened today. That's real cool. The subscriber is like, thanks, dude. Like, I don't know. Thanks, man. But yeah, so the thing is, though, at some point, one person came up and said, hey, man, like good stuff today, but just so you know, you're on like the emo society's hit list. Like I got a boy who's like in it, doesn't really like it, but is just in it for the sake of being in it. And he said that they had like an executive meeting and they put you on the hit list. And the subscriber, look, like the subscriber's just gonna be straight up. he's not super worried about being on, oh, I'm on their hit list, right? It's like, oh man, like, do I need to pay for protection against their hit list? Because the subscriber does remember what happens when the emo society fights back, which is they send 4 of their guys in an unfair 4v1, and they get absolutely smoked without the subscriber having to, like, really do much more than step aside and lift up his hand. So the subscriber's like, okay, man, like, that's fine. They can have me on their quote-unquote hit list or whatever. I genuinely do not care. So anyways, the subscriber was walking home from school. So he takes the bus to school, but he walks home from school. It just like the subscriber, some days he'll take the bus back, but it's also on a nice day or whatever. If it's nice out, right? If it's nice out, and if he doesn't live that far away, to be honest, he just like in the morning, he's like, it's too long of a walk. I'll just take the bus. But he does enjoy a nice walk back. So anyways, the subscriber at the end of the day, after everyone talking about him, right, is just walking back home. So the subscriber's walking home, and that's when he notices that behind him, there's this kid who's dressed in all black. So the subscriber isn't like being super suspicious yet, but he does now know that he's upset the entire emo society and that he's quote unquote on like a hit list or whatever that's supposed to mean for like an emo squad in 6th grade, like whatever that's supposed to mean. So he's walking back and he notices this kid behind him. So he's just thinking to himself, okay, well, I'm just going to keep an eye out for this kid. Like I'm just going to be aware of him, stuff like that, right? I'm not going to be too worried. And he's noticing, like, in this peripheral, and when he looks back very quickly, the emo kid, or someone who looks like an emo kid, is starting to gain traction on him, and starting to gain traction on him kind of quick. So the subscriber's like, okay, this is a little bit weird. So the subscriber turns around, and what his plan was is he's going to be like, hey, like, or just, like, stop walking to, like, tie his shoe, because he's not actually intimidated of, like, the emo kid, right? Or the emo kids. He doesn't know how many he's got to fight. He's already fought 4 of them and they've all gotten owned immediately. So he's not worried. He just wants to know because, like, can he put in his headphones and relax, or does he have to deal with one of these emo kids? That's really the question. So the subscriber turns around, planning to be like, what's good, or at least stand still so that, the emo kid either has to come up to him or goes away, turns around and no one's behind him. And he kind of looks a little bit around and he doesn't see anyone, which is really weird. He's like, okay, well, there's definitely a kid behind me, but now I'm kind of sussed out right now. So yeah, sure enough, the subscriber's like, okay, man, whatever. I'm just going to keep going. Subscriber kind of like gets up and keeps walking home. And that's when he hears, like about 10 minutes later, it's about like a 15, 20-minute walk. That's why he normally takes the bus, because he's like, I don't feel like doing this. Or 25-minute, whatever. He hears like 10 minutes later, here's kind of like rustling in the bush. So he turns over and he looks at the bush and then the rustling stops. And he kind of looks at it for a second and keeps going. Probably a wild animal, he thinks, right? I mean, I always hear that. Like, there's always, like, especially if you live anywhere near any kind of woods or natural integration, right? You're going to hear animals, squirrels, bears, whatever, little bugs. They're going to be, like, crawling around. They're going to be living their life. And, yeah, so the subscriber doesn't think that much of it. Anyways, he gets back home, and walks inside. And as he's walking in, he just gets a feeling to turn around. And he turns around and he looks on the other side of the street and he sees like the emo kid standing there. So the subscriber full on turns around and yells at him. He's like, hey. And then the emo kid runs away. So the subscriber's like, dang it. Like, I knew I was being followed. So yeah, sure enough, right, the subscriber's just like, okay, well, I'm for sure being followed right now. That's not great, but what are you going to do about it? And so the subscriber like goes back inside and kind of just waits it out to see what's up. And after about an hour, he's like, okay, the kid is definitely gone. Like, I don't even need to worry about it. Like, whatever now. So sure enough, it's about like 2 hours later. It's getting late. He's done his homework and he's at the dinner table with his parents. And so on the first floor where his dinner table's at, there's kind of like a pretty good view of the yard behind him and the outside. So his parents are sitting away from the window and he's sitting facing towards the window. So his parents can't see out the window, but he can. So they're just enjoying dinner, as they normally do. And that's when the subscriber notices like movement in the bush. And once again, he's like, okay, probably an animal, but he's also a little paranoid because, this emo kid followed him back home. And he keeps watching. And that's when he sees a very clearly, not an animal, but a person running from one bush to another. So the subscriber is like, oh my God, the emo kid, he's still here. So the subscriber asks his parents, is like, hey, can I be excused for a second? They're like, sure. And so the subscriber gets up, walks past them, and walks outside. His parents are probably like weirded out, but they're also like, whatever. Subscriber walks into the backyard, and he sees the emo kid like squatting in one of the bushes. So he goes up to him, basically picks him up by his like black Metallica hoodie or whatever, and is just like looks at him, is like, what are you doing here? And he's like, the emo society sent me, you're on their hit list. And he's like, I don't know what that means, and I don't care what that means. Like, what are you doing in my backyard? The emo kid's like, I'm supposed to like fight you or something. He's like, all right, fine, let's fight then. The emo kid's like, no. Look, I mean, hey man, like, are you really expecting the emo kid to actually put up a fight? Are you like actually expecting something to come from this? No. So yeah, the subscriber's like, all right, well, send a little message back like that, you know, they can bring it on, but that this is not a good way to go about it, because I'm about to tell everyone that they sent a quote unquote assassin and that their assassin completely failed. And the emo kid's like, I'm gonna put a spell on you if you're not careful. And he's like, yeah, okay, bro, put a spell on me, sure. Like, I'm so worried right now. I'm literally quaking in my boots, dude. So facts, true. So the subscriber goes back inside, and his parents are like, oh, what was that? He's like, I just needed brush a breath of fresh air. I felt a little stuffy. And they both kind of looked at each other, but also, like, his parents aren't going to be like, well, we don't believe you. It's not that deep, and they knew it. So anyways, next day rolls around, and the subscriber is getting on the bus, and the subscriber is pretty mad. Like, he's just really angry that it came to the point where the emo kids were like, oh, and now we're going to, like, I don't know, now we're going to, like, threaten you or whatever and send people to your house. Like, here's the thing. The subscriber wasn't actually ever threatened by any of this. It was just genuinely annoying. Like, the thing is, right, you know, these emo kids are not actually scary. They're not actually threatening or anything like that. But the thing is, they are really annoying. Like, that's the worst thing about this. Like, the worst thing at all is how just annoying this has been. Like, total. Like, this has just been so annoying because he just has to keep dealing with it, right? He just kind of has to keep dealing with, like, these emo kids coming over and, like, I don't know. It's like none of them individually or even in a group are a threat. It's just the fact that he has to exert mental energy to deal with these people is just so annoying. So yeah, sure enough, the subscriber the next day on the bus, he has a plan, man. He has a plan, and it's a pretty good one. So basically, when people get on the bus, the subscriber kind of like figures out which ones are most likely going to like be like shown, like the emo kids are going to walk up to, because it used to be almost 90% at their peak, but now it's at a point where most of them don't pay in, but still like 20 to 30% are probably still going to pay the emo kids, and you can kind of just tell who it is, and the subscriber kind of remembers. So the subscriber goes around to about half the people because he wants to make sure he wants to overshoot than undershoot, goes up to them and says, hey, I'm offering protection against the emo kids for free. And they were like, oh, and he's like, do you want to sign up for my quote unquote protection services? It's free. And they're like, what's the catch? He's like, dude, I just freaking hate these kids. And they're like, all right, yeah, me too. So before the emo kids even get on the bus, because the emo kids are normally like one of the last pickups before they all go in, basically every kid either... It is the kids that wouldn't have been approached, the subscriber doesn't go up to because he knows the emo kids aren't going to approach them anyways. But now it's like all the kids the emo kids would have approached. The subscriber now has like basically been like, yeah, I'm giving you protection against them for free. So the emo kids get on the bus, and they very confidently and like very in like kind of like a cocky manner, right? They go up to the same people that they always go up to, basically expecting that they will have no issue wrangling some money out of them or Pokemon cards or I don't know, Yu-Gi-Oh, I don't know, whatever you guys are doing. And the kids are like, hey, like, sorry, I already got protection like from someone else. And they're like, what? There's another emo squad? And they're like, no, actually, the subscriber, points back there, is offering protection against you guys for free, which is just a better deal. And they basically go on to say, yeah, and it kind of looks like you can offer pretty good protection. So yeah, sure enough, the emo kids are really surprised by this. They're really taken aback. So like all four of them storm up to the subscriber who's sitting where he normally sits, and they're like, dude, this is not cool. You don't want to mess with the emo society. And the subscriber's like, bro, do you literally not remember what happened yesterday? Like, do you not remember the last time you guys came up and were like, you really don't want to mess with us? Do you remember what happened? Because I can say one thing, I certainly do, and also the entire school certainly does. And the emo kids are definitely in a much worse position now. Like before, like literally a day ago, they almost had 90% of kids like going for this. Like they almost had everyone totally going for this. And now they've completely lost like almost everyone. Actually, they've lost everyone at least on the bus. And the subscriber's like, hey, hey, man, like, I wasn't even going to do this. Like, as much as I don't like you guys, I wasn't even planning on going through and really just deciding to stomp you guys out. But here's the thing. You guys went too far by sending, like, one of your little goons to my house. And by the way, he did nothing. And I'm spreading the word as soon as I get to school that you guys sent a clown after me and he got owned. But that really went too far. You guys went into my personal space, and now I will not rest until your organization is no more. And the emo kids no longer could put up a brave face, because in reality, they realized that they were about to get owned. Yeah, because, like, the truth is, like, honestly, bro, like, at this point, what did the emo kids have left? Like, what ammunition did they have left in the tank, man? Like, seriously, like, what else were they going to do? So the emo kids were like, oh, all this kind of stuff, right? And the subscriber's like, okay, bro, like, what are you going to do about it? So the emo kids, like, what they do is they leave the subscriber alone, and they try and wrestle even one person. They try and get at least one person, but no. They go up almost through everyone offering their protection services, and people that would normally say yes were like, nah, I got the subscriber protecting me. And people that would say no are like, ha, no, you know? So anyways, once they get off the bus, the subscriber, like, gets off. And what the subscriber does is he goes to all the other places, recess, lunch, hallway, whatever. He tries to spread the word that he is offering protection services for free as far and wide as possible. So yeah, sure enough, really quickly the word spread and basically got to the point where it was like the subscribers like, I will give you default protection. Like basically anyone who said I'm being protected by the subscriber was now protected by the subscriber. Like they didn't even need to like go up to him individually. He just said, I got you guys. Like, don't worry about it. I got you all. So, yeah, the emo school, like the emo society had like convened like an emergency meeting that day. And they had already lost like 80% of membership throughout the last like 24 hours. Like people were just like, screw this, whatever, right? And so the final members were just like, what are we going to do? Like, this is so bad. No one is like falling for our stuff anymore. People are just like laughing us out. And they kind of came to the conclusion that they were going to have one last hurrah, because they were because at this point, if they were able to prove dominance over the subscriber, they would have a shot to regain their empire. But they really had to give it their everything, or else they would be doomed to fail. And they basically said, okay, we're going to have one last hurrah. This is a Hail Mary, but we're putting everything into it. And if not, we dissolve the organization. So anyways, fast forward to recess. Subscriber's chilling with one of his boys. And that's when they notice a squad of 10 emo kids walking towards him. And right before the emo kids, were spreading the word as fast as possible that the emo society was about to take out the subscriber once and for all and truly prove their dominance. Because if you think about it, it actually makes a lot of sense for them to do this, because like what else are they going to... They have no power now. The subscriber has legitimately blocked every angle that they have. But if they take out the subscriber, I mean, metaphorically, they're not going to murk a kid. They're sixth graders, right? But like prove dominance over him, then all of a sudden they have full power again. They just need to like regain it and use that momentum. So they spread the word really quickly that the emo squad, the emo society, was about to prove once and for all that they are truly dominant over the subscriber, right? And that the subscriber can't actually protect you, and that they are the only ones that truly offer protection. So yeah, a lot of kids were like talking about it. A lot of kids were watching. And basically, like, a massive circle began to form as the emo kids began to, like, close in on the subscriber. So the subscriber's friend is like, oh, my God, dude, like, my friend just texted me that the emo kids are coming for you. That, like, the last remaining 10 are going to prove dominance over you. Like, what does that mean, man? And the subscriber's like, dude, don't worry about me. Don't worry about me, man. Like, I got it. And the subscriber's like, dude, I can go with you. He's like, no. First of all, I got this. Like, it could be 100v1. I'd still win. Like, I'm more afraid of 100 toddlers than 100 emo kids coming after me, if I'm being real. He said, but also, if there's even, like, if I can show that it's, like, a 1v10 that I win, like, that would literally end them for all. If it was a 10v2, then maybe they'd have it would be a little questionable, even though it'd be pretty obvious. But if I win this, it's done. So yeah, the emo kids, all 10 of them, are walking towards the subscriber. They're like, are you scared, man? We're going to give you one shot to back down. And the subscriber's like, kind of like walking around, pacing a little bit, like, like, no, man, like, I'm ready for this. I think the emo kids were hoping that, you know, the sheer number of them would be enough for leverage, but no. The emo kids are like, fine, then we'll have a final duel. And so sure enough, right, the subscriber's like, all right, man, that's cool with me. So the emo kids start, like, they circle out, and they almost, like, they now form, like, a circle around the subscriber. And the subscriber, this is his biggest challenge yet. Because I don't care if it's 10 toddlers. I don't care if it's 10, like, inanimate objects. 10 is a big, 10v1 of anyone, that's still going to be tough to win. So basically, right, the subscriber is starting to realize that he thinks the emo kids are going to charge. So what he thinks they're going to do is, right, they surround him, and then they all charge in and basically tackle him to the ground. Because all 10 of them coming in from different directions probably would be able to tackle him, right? And that would be kind of a problem. Because, you know, you look, 10 like, even like 10, like, really weak, shrimpy emo kids, right? If 10 of them have you pinned down, that is still extremely difficult to break out of. But the subscriber has an idea. So anyways, the emo kids, one of them, like, I think the leader one's like, 3, 2, 1, charge! And all 10 of them charge in from every direction. So the subscriber has to do this extremely carefully, but he executes it perfectly. The subscriber watches as they all come in, and as they're about to close in, he slips through the cracks, and like, they don't realize, and they all charge in full speed, expecting to make contact with the subscriber, but the subscriber has slipped out, so they all make contact with each other, going full speed. All 10 of them hit the ground. None of them are, like, knocked out or anything, like, serious, but they all hit the ground, and they're all, like, injured or whatever, and they're all on the ground, like, moaning, like, oh man, ow. So yeah, the entire crowd that's formed around watching this, they burst out into cheering. They all rush towards the subscriber. They're like, they put them on their shoulders, because they knew that they understood the seriousness of this fight and, like, how this made or break the emo society or whatever. And yeah, later that day, the remaining emo kids came together and officially disbanded the emo society. And from that point out, there were no other, like, quasi-mafia type gangs or whatever that came together to offer quote-unquote protection. The emo kids were, like, now they were no longer organized, and the emo society was just a thing of the past. If you want to support the channel, click on one of the videos on the screen right now. Thank you so much for watching, and peace. Today we have some stories of some of the craziest truth or dare games ever played. I know for a fact that you'll be shocked by some of these, so sit back, relax, leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, and let's get to the stories. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted the first story SpongeBob. Yeah, I'm going on a SpongeBob theme for the subscriber names, so we're going to call him SpongeBob. Anyways, SpongeBob and his friends, you know, they have a big kind of, like, get together at the mall or whatever. Things are pretty cool. They're having a good time on the weekend, and they all decide that they're going to go to the school park because they all live near each other. They all live in the same neighborhood or whatever. So they decide that after kind of walking around in the mall together, they're going to go to the playground, park, whatever you want to call it. And most of the time, it was pretty much abandoned, and they especially knew a spot in it that, like, nobody knew about and nobody went to. So they all went up there, walked over there, and that's when one of the kids, there was, like, 5 guys, 5 girls, pretty even gender split, and that's when one of them says, we should play Truth or Dare. So a little bit of context. One of the girls in this group, in SpongeBob's group, he had a crush on. He'd always kind of had a crush on her for a while. However, since, you know, they were friendly enough, he didn't want to do anything or make any moves that could potentially mess up the dynamic of the group because he didn't want to be that guy who ruined something just because, you know, he liked a girl. But anyways, he was very open for Truth or Dare or whatever. So they sat around in a circle, and there were some very mundane Truth or Dares. Like, there was I don't know, walk out to the woods and go climb that tree. Okay. Tell me about the first girl you kissed. Okay. And eventually it got more and more interesting, such as like take off your shirt, run around the forest and scream like something ridiculous, right? But it got the most interesting when someone dared SpongeBob. I know you're probably thinking SpongeBob SquarePants right now. It's just a name, guys. Someone dared SpongeBob to kiss his crush. I think this guy kind of knew how SpongeBob felt about this girl, because they would I bet this guy was a bit more aware of his surroundings, and he observed how SpongeBob would look at her in a certain way, and there's little details and little hints that you can pick up on if you're really paying attention. So anyways, right, when SpongeBob hears this, he goes red, and not he starts to blush a little bit. He starts to get a little bit nervous. But the thing that was really unfortunate is the way that this girl reacted. Unfortunately, right? This girl is like, ew, not SpongeBob. Bleh. Dude, you're going to make me sick. Oh, man, it's so tough for SpongeBob, right? And SpongeBob is in a very awkward situation. Because low-key, he was going to go for it because he's like, oh, it's just the rules of the game, guys. We're just doing the rules of the game right now. But no, right? It was very much she's like, oh, great. And the thing is, too, this girl wouldn't let it go. She must have thought it was, funny or something, because she kept on going on about, oh, man, you'd really make SpongeBob kiss me? You're the worst, Jeremy, or whoever the guy's name was. It turns out, because SpongeBob, this happened, a little while ago. It turns out that this girl actually had a thing for Jeremy, the guy who asked SpongeBob to kiss her. So I feel as if she was, one, kind of joking, try to have, a funny moment for the group, but also trying to show to Jeremy, no, Jeremy, I wouldn't kiss him. I only want to kiss you. Something like that. Yeah. It's fair enough to say that SpongeBob's feelings were pretty hurt after this moment, which I honestly cannot blame him. But also, SpongeBob got over this girl pretty quickly after this moment, and he actually ended up getting a girlfriend with someone who was not repulsed by the sight of him, sorry to say. And life was pretty good after that. Their big friend group of the 5 guys and the 5 girls did stick together, though. We're going to call the subscriber who submitted the second story Patrick. By the way, you can submit these stories to my Instagram or Twitter or whatever you want to. It's in the description. So Patrick, he was at a house with a bunch of his friends. Basically, this girl, her parents were gone for the weekend, or they were gone for the night or something. They were gone for a brief period of time. So she invited all of her friends over, not to their knowledge. And they were all sitting around, and it was a bunch of guys and it was a bunch of girls. And they got they got bored, so they decided to play Truth or Dare. And they were going around, and the dares were pretty extreme. It was lick the inside of the toilet seat, call up the person you have a crush on and let them know, the really crazy stuff. But that's when they got it almost to the next level of insane Truth or Dares. Because one person said, okay, I dare you, and he looks at the subscriber who we're calling Patrick. Patrick, I dare you to order a Grubhub, have it come here, or Uber Eats or whatever, right? Have a ride service that can bring you food. Bring it here, order food, I'll pay for it, but you need to pick it up completely naked. You need to show up at the door with nothing on. And Patrick's like, oh my God. But look, Patrick's definitely the guy to stand up and take up the dare that's given to him, right? He's not going to let it slip to the side. So sure enough, Patrick stripped down completely naked, called up the Uber Eats, and within 15 minutes, actually, it was 20 minutes away, but he got the doorbell rung at 10 minutes. So he's like, oh, okay. And everyone's like, your Uber Eats is here. Your Uber Eats is here, which was a little strange to him because he's like, oh, they're going to be 10 minutes early. Okay, that's fine with me, I guess. He gets up. He walks over to the door, butt naked, right? And let's just say that he should have paid attention to the Uber Eats app and not the doorbell. And I think, look, Uber Eats can be early sometimes. It can be late sometimes. It's normally not 10 minutes early. Maybe. But most of the time, it's probably not 10 minutes early. Maybe have someone who isn't butt naked go up to the door and just check out the window, maybe. Or go through the peephole just to make sure that it is the Uber Eats driver. Because a little spoiler alert, it was not the Uber Eats driver.
So Patrick went up to the door and opened it halfway so that only like his bare chest or whatever would be visible. That was the whole thing. It was supposed to be Uber Eats driver goes to the door. Patrick like signs the pad or whatever, like only halfway showing himself. He wasn't going to completely expose himself, so that might be illegal or something like that. But that was supposed to be the funny prank. He opens the door with this kind of smile on his face because he wanted to see the reaction of the Uber Eats driver. And instead of the Uber Eats driver, it is the girl's dad. Yeah, the girl who wasn't even supposed to be having anyone over. Her dad must have came back a little bit early and wanted just to say hi. Maybe he forgot something. Maybe he forgot his wallet. Maybe he forgot his phone charger. Who knows? But either way, he opens the door. And instead of seeing, his lovely daughter, who could do nothing wrong, waiting for her father to return, he just sees some random guy who's completely naked open the door. So after about legitimately 25 seconds of the father just staring blankly and Patrick realizing what is happening, the father goes on a tirade. He legitimately chases Patrick back into the house. So Patrick is running around completely naked at this point. The father is running after him, chasing after this guy, right? And Patrick's running back in. He grabs his clothes and runs upstairs or whatever. And at this point, the father doesn't chase Patrick all the way upstairs because the father stumbles upon his daughter and a bunch of guys and girls sitting in the living room in a circle. Like some of them have marker all over their face because from previous dares or whatever. And remember, he told his daughter she couldn't even have a friend over, let alone guys over, let alone have one of the guys in his house who he doesn't know, completely naked, answering the door. So yeah, he was pretty mad. He was yelling, he was screaming, all the kids were getting up and running out. And Patrick got his clothes on and ran down, and that's when he looked behind him because the dad is like, you were the one who answered the door, right? And Patrick just looks at him and bolts. And he could feel the dad was running behind him, almost catching up speed or whatever. But once Patrick went through the door, he looked behind him, and sure enough, the dad stopped at the door, closed the door, and then presumably turned around to chew out his daughter for the next 2 hours. So about a week later, Patrick was able to see the daughter that invited him over to the house. And she basically said, yeah, I am grounded from seeing anyone indefinitely, according to my father. I'm banned from having friends. He'll get over it soon, but wow, I'm in deep trouble. We're going to call the subscriber who submitted the next story Squidward. So anyway, Squidward was sitting in the back of the class, and don't remember, this is just a name I'm giving. It's not actual Squidward. But Squidward sitting in the back of the class. And anyways, what he's doing back in the class is he's sitting with his friends, and his friends and him, they have a little competition type thing, a little type of truth or dare, basically making the dares more and more each time. So Squidward and his boys are sitting in the back of the class. One of the dares is to tap someone on the shoulder and pretend like it wasn't them, which they did, and the guy's like, bro, I know it's you. Another one was to shoot a paper spitball at someone. Another one was to walk up to the front of the class and on purpose, but make it look like an accident, trip and spill a bunch of papers everywhere, which is pretty funny or whatever. But the next dare was giving to Squidward. Basically, one of the kids had taken a salt packet from the dining room, right? And the idea was go up to the front desk or where the teacher sits, and when they're not looking, slip this packet of salt into their coffee, and they'll have a funny reaction when they take a sip. Which is mean to do your teachers. Disclaimer, please do not do this. I hope that's apparent, but just in case it's not. Yeah, but anyways, Squidward was given that, given the salt packet. He's like, boys, I got you, no problem with it. So he goes up to the front of the class, and he's like, hey, teacher, can you look into this for me? And he opens up his, note. He's like, can you look over this really quick? And the teacher's like, you should be doing this yourself, but fine, I'll help you out. So the teacher's looking through, takes out a red pen. It's like, okay, so you're going to want to look here, and you're going to want to take a look over here. And sure enough, while the teacher's doing this, Squidward is very much, as discreetly as possible, ripping open the salt packet and dumping the whole thing into the teacher's coffee cup, right? And Squidward is only paying attention to where the teacher's attention is. He's not paying attention to where the rest of the class's attention is, which is going to be very important in a second. So sure enough, right, Squidward gets the entire salt packet in, puts the salt packet into his pocket. Teacher didn't see a thing. So Squidward's like, okay, as the teacher's giving him feedback on his project, he's like, okay, thank you, great. So the teacher's like, all right, well, go back and make those changes.
Teacher goes over, takes a sip of his coffee, and legitimately spits it out. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment dare down below. That'll be the secret word of the day. Leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing. Subscribe if you're new, and let's get back to it. Anyways, though, so yeah, not Squidward. The teacher spits out their coffee. They're like, oh, God, what is in this? And Squidward and his boys thought that he got away with it because the teacher didn't see anything. The teacher didn't suspect anything besides that someone did something, you know what I mean? And yeah, sure enough, Squidward thought he got away with it, but that was not the case because a kid at the front of the class, a kid who always sat at the front of the class, and I have nothing against you for being studious. In fact, I should be a little more studious at times. But it was just that kid who was like the teacher's pet, which once again, there is nothing wrong with being good in your class. However, some people just act a certain way, and you know what I'm talking about. He's like, teacher, teacher, teacher. He like raises his hand, and Squidward is looking up there. He's like, no way this kid's about to snitch on me. No shot. The teacher's like, yes, Jeremy. The kid's like, teacher, I know what happened to your coffee. And at this point, Squidward's like, don't do it, dude. Don't do it. Don't you dare do it. And the kid's like, I saw Squidward put a packet of salt into your coffee when you weren't looking. Squidward did it. And the teacher's like, Squidward, is this true? And Squidward's like, I mean, the teacher, and the kid's like, yes, teacher, I saw it. Like, check his pockets right now. He's a salt packet in there. And Squidward very quickly is like trying to like reach into his pocket. The teacher power walks over to him, reaches in his pocket, pulls out a salt packet and says, you're coming with me. Brings him up to the front office. Basically, Squidward gets detention for a week. All because the kid at the front of the class snitched on him. He was doing a good job too, man. Squidward almost had a successful prank, but no. We're going to call the next subscriber who submitted a story Mr. Krabs. So Mr. Krabs was with his friends, and they decided to do a little truth or dare or whatever. And one of Mr. Krabs' friends told him, basically dared him, to inhale some of this very special grass. I think you guys know what I'm alluding to. I just can't say certain words because YouTube will be big mad sometimes. But they basically dared him to smoke a little bit of a very special grass clipping, right? Very special. Mr. Krabs had no experience doing this. He was a little bit nervous, but he was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it, no problem. Goes into it, takes a massive rip of the grass, coughs it all up, right? But still inhales it correctly. He's like, I don't feel anything, bro. Like, that's crazy. And Mr. Krabs is like, all right, give me a harder dare. Give me a harder dare. And they're like, all right, man, just give it a sec. Just give it a sec. Sure enough, Mr. Krabs was not immune to the effects of said grass. He was not immune, right? Not immune. And let's just say that Mr. Krabs had quite the experience. He was sitting in the circle, and he looks up, and the guy's like, dude, are you okay? And Mr. Krabs is like, yeah, what? They're like, we've been trying to talk to you for like the last 5 minutes. He's like, what? Mr. Krabs was deep in thought about the most random, unnecessary stuff ever. And he's just like, huh? And Mr. Krabs says something that he thinks makes a lot of sense, but his friends are like, dude, I have no idea what you just said. And that's when Mr. Krabs' memory kind of like goes a little hazy, right? He wakes up on his roof in nothing but his underwear. So Mr. Krabs is so disoriented at this point. He's like, last thing I remember, I was with my friends, we were playing Truth or Dare, and oh. And that's when Mr. Krabs remembers, oh yeah, I had a little smoke at the adult grad. Okay. So he's like, okay, where are my surroundings? Because I don't know about you, but I know definitely if I woke up on the ceiling and nothing, not the ceiling, if I woke up on the ceiling, if I woke up on the roof and nothing but my underpants, I would also be a little bit disoriented. I think that is fair to say. And yeah, so sure enough, Mr. Krabs has no idea how he got up there and also realizes that now he has to go back downstairs. He at least needs to find a way to get back down into his room. He has no idea how he got up here, but he's, look, at the end of the day, Mr. Krabs is on the roof in his underpants at like 2 p.m. and he needs to get downstairs. He doesn't want his parents to totally know. And he doesn't even know if his friends are still here, man. Like, for all he knows, his friends are just completely gone. Which, spoiler, they are. Because he eventually figures out his friends have left by this point.
So he starts to climb down the roof, and thankfully, like, the roof is right next to a tree, very similar to, like, in The Simpsons, if you ever saw their house layout or whatever. So he jumps onto the tree, or takes a little leap, or crawls over, right, and goes down the tree in his underpants at 2 in the afternoon, which is just not an ideal situation. That is just not really the situation you get yourself when you've peaked in life. But he walks into the house, he tries to walk into the house. And the front door is locked. The front door is never locked. His parents are home. He has no idea why they locked it, but sometimes they will just randomly lock it. So he's like, oh my God, I need to ring the doorbell. So he rings the doorbell and he waits there, and his parents open it up, and his dad is just looking at him, and he's standing there in his underpants with like frizzed up hair, looking like a wreck, right? His dad does not ask him any questions. He says, oh, didn't know you're out here. Come on in. I think his dad just realized that maybe it's better if I just don't know. Maybe it's better if I just don't ask. So yeah, sure enough, Mr. Krabs goes up into his room, gets his clothes on, texts up his friends being like, where are you? And he said, hey man, like our parents were supposed to come pick us up at like 12. Like we don't even know where you were, bro. Yeah, and they explained that he kind of just disappeared after a certain point, so they all went to bed. And Mr. Krabs texts them saying, yeah, so I just woke up on my roof in my underpants with no other clothes on at 2 in the afternoon.
Click on the video on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it. Do it.
How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to a brand new video. So, I'll be honest, nothing really is happening. Nothing bad on Twitter, nothing good on YouTube. So in today's video, I'm doing something a little bit different. And I want to do these videos every once in a while because I kind of enjoy watching this content, and I hope you guys also enjoy watching it. So today, I have a story for you. And it's a story of when one of my friends legitimately spent so much time playing Minecraft that they just lost so much in their life, including their girlfriend. Anyways, enjoy. First, I want to let you know of a limited time offer. If you click the like button in the next 5 seconds, there's a very good shot that you'll have exactly 5 minutes of good luck. However you spend that is up to you, but just go ahead and leave a like on the video if you want to activate that good luck and spend it however you want. While you're down there grabbing your free luck, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm really trying to hit 100K by April so I can get my plaque before I graduate. That would just be really cool. And also, if you subscribed or you have already subscribed, consider turning on the notifications because YouTube doesn't always push the videos, but they do a much better job with notifications. And with that being said, let's get right into the story. So anyways, let's call this guy Max. Let's call my friend Max. I don't want to actually use the person's name. It just makes the life easier for me. And yeah, we're going to call him Max. So anyways, Max and I are pretty good friends. I mean, nothing crazy. We're not like best friends. We're not like hanging out all the time. But, you know, we both like Minecraft. We both like, you know, a little bit of the craft. It's a good game, man. And anyway, so we're playing it a bit, and we are on Hypixel. If you don't, that's what I'm playing on right now, actually. If you don't know, Hypixel, you know, it's not like normal Minecraft where there's PvP, you can play against players, you can rank and stuff, you have, you know, stats, where in normal Minecraft, you're kind of just playing against yourself. Yeah, you can have like speed runs and such, but for the most part, you're kind of just playing with yourself, and there's no real stats to compare yourself. But anyways, on Hypixel, you can compare yourself to other people. Anyways, Max and I are playing a little bit casually, and, you know, we get into a few games, and we're both kind of new to Hypixel. We haven't really played it that much. We played Minecraft more or less throughout our childhood, but I never really got that seriously into it, and I think Max was on Hypixel a little bit, like way back in the day. But we decided to get together over Zoom and stuff. Not Zoom, Discord, what am I saying? I got Zoom on the brain. But anyways, we get together and we play a few rounds, you know how it is. And anyways, we're like, yeah, you know, it's a friendly competition when we play. We both want to get better, you know. It's fun, it's exciting. We didn't have a lot to do, right? And this was just something for us to do. And anyways, playing some team games like, you know, Bed Wars and Team Sky Wars. But we also play some, you know, games against each other. Like you got duels. We had games kind of like duels, something like that. We also had like, I don't know, other games where you just competed for better scores. So while we did play together a bit, we also played some games against each other. So, a little bit of a rivalry. Nothing, it never got too intense. We never got angry at each other. It was just, it was exciting. We could get frustrated, but it was, if anything, it was more motivating for us to get better. So anyways, we're playing duels, and this is back when I was a lot worse. I'm not that good right now, as you can see. I'm okay. I hold my own. I got a little angry in this game because a lot of people were playing a lot. A little bit of a side rant / side tangent. Hypixel has so many sweats, man. It's like I'm playing Bad Lion back in the day. Like, I know that's fine, and I know people are going to be like, you're just bad. And at the end of the day, I am. It's just, the playing experience, for some reason, the last couple weeks, has just been a lot worse. I wish they had some kind of, like, skill-based matchmaking, because I don't like getting clapped every single time. Anyways, let's continue. Max and I are playing duels, and I am a little bit better. It's kind of an accident, to be honest. I think the times when I won, he just wasn't paying attention, or he wasn't eating his heads, or whatever mode it was. I wasn't that much better, but I consistently won more of the duels. And, that kind of got him a little bit upset. But, he used that anger. He used that frustration. He used it as fuel, man. He used it to get better. He used it to better himself. Well, better himself in Minecraft. Nothing else, man, but better himself in Minecraft. So anyways, it's about a week, and I noticed that, Max is getting progressively better, and I'm like, he's doing new things. Like, this was before I kind of knew what W tapping was, and I was getting, thrown around a little bit. He was also strafing a lot better than me, and I was like, oh, this is a little unexpected. Like, we were pretty even. If anything, I was better in the beginning of the week, and then I started losing more of the matches. And this just kept continuing. He got better and better at such a rapid rate. And also, Max was looking kind of tired. He was, he was winning a lot, and while he got a lot better than me, the matches were probably a little bit closer than they were, would have normally been, because he seemed a bit sleep deprived. Like, I was thinking about it, and I was just like, he wasn't looking so good. He was being a little quiet. And so I just kind of asked him, I'm like, hey man, you're doing a lot better. Like, what happened? And he said, yeah, I've been spending almost all night training. And I was like, what? So honestly, like, I trained a little bit. I looked at some YouTube videos. I went into some duels myself when he wasn't there. I wanted to win, and I just noticed I was falling so far behind, so I knew that something was up. And when I asked him, I'm like, what do you mean? He says, yeah, I've been spending hours after we get off at, like, and we were getting off at, like, 11, 12, even sometimes 1 in the morning, man. Like, we were going pretty late, because this was over the summer, and I was just like, oh my god, like, okay. And, he was spending hours every single night after that, and every single day after that. And that definitely explained the rapid increase. But here's where things get interesting. Max has become so dedicated to the grind that he'd actually been ignoring calls from his girlfriend. And to be fair, his relationship was already a little bit under stress. And I noticed that in her bio of her Instagram, because, I follow her Instagram, in her bio of her Instagram, you know how some people have that little, like, heart and then, like, a date next to it? It's a little cringe, it's a little lame, but that's probably just me, it's probably just salty me speaking, because I haven't even held anyone's hand in, like, 4 years. I'm literally not even kidding. It's kind of depressing, man. But anyways, now that salty me is no longer on the mic right now, anyways, I noticed that she had taken that out of her bio, and I was like, uh-oh. It's almost like when people use Facebook, which no one, below the age of 45 uses Facebook anymore, when you change your status. I don't know why you'd set a status in the first place, because all of a sudden you see in your timeline, so-and-so got dumped. That's a little embarrassing. Anyways, fast forward about a month, and, Max and I, we're still friends. We just don't really play Minecraft together anymore. I wasn't playing it as much. I was kind of doing other things. Obviously, I got back into it. As you can see now, I'm back into it. But, I kind of go in and out of liking playing the game, and I was just kind of done with it for a little while. But I did a little bit of digging, and let's just call Max's girlfriend Sarah. Let's just, random name right there. Anyway, so I'm still interested, though, because I didn't, here's the thing, I didn't initially realize the correlation. I just noticed that, Max was playing a lot of Minecraft, and also his girlfriend took his name out of his bio. I didn't see the correlation until a month later. I was speaking to some mutual friends who kind of knew a little bit more and knew Max better and knew kind of Max's and Sarah's relationship a little bit better than me, actually, much better than me. And I got the scoop that Sarah and Max's relationship was already kind of shaky at the time. And I said that earlier, but I only figured this out about a month later when I was told. And basically, Max had been ignoring every communication from her because he was on the grind. My guy was on the grind and he had no time for his woman, man. Like, it was, and I don't know if they weren't totally sure that that was the thing that ended the relationship, but apparently, like, there's like a good chance that that was the last straw. Obviously, just because my guy isn't picking up the phone doesn't mean he's gonna be dumped. But apparently, him playing Minecraft was legitimately the last straw in their relationship. So, I know. Guys, if you made it this far into the video, no, the video is not over. This is a midway point because I have another story I want to tell in the second half, but I want to see how many people made it to the end of this story. So if you made it this far, I'd like you to comment rock down below. Comment it with either 1, 2, or 3 O's, just so YouTube doesn't think you guys are spam bots or something. I'm just looking at a rock in my room right now, so comment rock with 1, 2, or 3 O's. Okay, pause the video, go do that, and come back, new story. Story some of you guys might have heard on stream. I don't know when I did it, but I think I told this on stream a little while ago. If you don't know, I actually stream on YouTube occasionally, and if you want to see my streams, literally just turn on my notifications. That's right next to the subscribe button. If you haven't already done so, make sure to go ahead and subscribe. Leave a like for 5 minutes of good luck. I'm reactivating that deal if you didn't already do so, so consider yourself blessed. And anyways, here's the story. So this was me back in 7th grade, and you know, I haven't had such a good track record when it came to the ladies. I'm just gonna be honest, man, it just wasn't that good. And I was pretty inept with my decision making when it came to them. I didn't really know what I was doing at all. It was pretty bad. So anyways, I was in 7th grade, and there was this girl, and I was like, hey man, you know, she's pretty. I'm gonna be honest, and I wanted to get my feelings, you know, known. I wanted her to know how I felt. So I'm gonna give you 3 options. I'm going to give you 3 choices, and you decide which one I did. So before I actually reveal it, I want you to go ahead and comment down below if you chose choice A, B, or C. And then, you know, unpause it and see if you're right. I will see if you edited the comment, man. Don't lie. All right, choice A, this is what I did. I decided to, you know, grow a pair, and I walked up to her, and I said, hey, you know, I would like to, you know, talk to you. Do you want to go over? Do you want to, like, do you want to, I don't know, I offered to buy her something. You know, I was just a gentleman. I walked up to her and I initiated the conversation. I was up front. I just told her how I felt and we hit it off and it was great. Option B. And I either said option A or option 1. Option A is the first one. Option B, I asked one of her friends for her Snapchat, and I got it, and I kind of hit her up through there. You know, it's not as honorable as the, you know, the be the man and go up and talk to her method, but it's still pretty good. Or C, I decided to write her an anonymous love letter. Go ahead and guess down below. It was C. So it was probably one of the worst decisions I've ever made. Like, I literally don't understand the headspace I was in. You know when you make bad choices in the past, you just can't understand it? This is just like on a different level of stupid, man. Like, you'll understand when I explain it in a second. But Jesus, man. Anyways, so what I did was I wrote her a letter saying, Dear so-and-so, I'm not going to put in the name. I think it was something like, you are so beautiful, or something. Just imagine cringe, bro. Just imagine absolute just simpery. I was down in the trenches so deep. Imagine that in written form. That's what the letter was. And it was like signed, and then I left it blank because I thought that was edgy and cool and like mysterious, and it wasn't. It was lame. Anyway, so I write that on a piece of paper. And back in the day in middle school, we had cubbies where they were open cubbies. You put your backpack in, and there was another slot for like other things. Anyways, everyone was outside at recess, and I wrote the letter. And I walked by her cubby, and I like ninja started in. I like ran through like some like Naruto guy or something, and I crumpled up the letter and I like ninja star chucked it in there, and I like sprinted out. I don't even know, man. So anyways, I'm playing ultimate frisbee with my friends. I can't catch. I can't play frisbee. I'm dog at that stuff. But well, anyways, and I see her sitting on the bench, surrounded by 50 people. She has the letter in her hand. And I think that I'm winning. I'm like, hey man, things are looking good for you. No, things are not looking good. That I know I just literally embarrassed myself beyond comprehension. I was probably the biggest fool in that I don't understand why I thought that would work. It honestly blows my mind looking back on that. And yeah, man, basically how the story ended was that, I told a few people and word got out. It was funny. Like, she actually narrowed it down between me and another guy within like 12 hours. And I was like, it's not going to plan, because I didn't think she was going to figure it out. I thought I was going to do some epic reveal or something. No, she figured it out in basically she figured it out in 12 hours. And then in a day she got confirmation from one of my friends who kind of snitched. And that was a little annoying. But, serves me right for being an idiot, man. Anyways, no, the feelings were not reciprocated. It was terrible. I was literally so embarrassed. And the thing is, it was like, I wasn't super embarrassed in the beginning, but I got more and more embarrassed as time went on because I realized what I did. It was like, damn, I really was that guy. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. Oh, voice crack. I'll leave that in, for your entertainment purposes to mock me. Anyways, thank you so much for watching today's video. I know today's a story video, and that's not normally what I do. I basically just didn't have any normal commentary thing I wanted to cover, and I still wanted to post something today. I think I'm going to occasionally do these story videos because they're really fun for me, and I don't want for me to be a news guy. I want to be a commentary guy where you guys, you get to know who I am, and that's important for me. And, have an occasional story, and I don't think the views are going to be as good, but that's okay, man. I can take a few L's. I don't have to feed 15 pugs at home. I can take a few L's on this one. Anyways, if you made it this far into the video, obviously please consider subscribing. And I also want to say thank you, man, for making it all the way to the end. Watch time is really important for me. So the fact that you watch my videos really, really does help out. Consider joining my Discord server. Sorry, I rage quit here. Consider joining my Discord server. Follow me on Twitter. Thank you to the channel members. Also consider becoming a channel member. Peace. How's it going, everyone? I hope you're having a good day. Today we got some crazy emo kid stories that I know for a fact you will enjoy. So sit back, relax, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's call the first subscriber who submitted this story Hank. By the way, all these episodes are on Spotify, and they normally come out a couple hours early on Spotify, so make sure to check that out. First link in the description. Anyways, back to the story. So we're going to call the first subscriber who submitted the story Hank. And anyways, this all happened when Hank was shopping at the mall. So Hank used to always go to the mall to shop with his friends. It was just a fun place to hang out. They didn't really have a lot of other places that they could go in the town that they lived in, so the mall was probably their best bet. And sure enough, one of these days, one of Hank's friends wanted to shop at this place called Hot Topic. If you don't know, Hot Topic's a place where they have a lot of t-shirts and other kind of apparel that is very, I don't know, fast fashion-y, brand-centric. It's very much you'll have a lot of different brands, or kind of you'll find a lot of band t-shirts, a lot of kind of okay, so a lot of different stuff's at Hot Topic, but one kind of theme of clothing that you'll see at Hot Topic is emo style clothing, if that makes sense. So really black clothing, edgy clothing, stuff like that. And just so you know, I have nothing against it if you dress like that. I think it's a cool enough style. I think you're fine even if you identify as oh, I'm emo in the way I dress or act or whatever. I don't really care. Live your life. However, as long as you don't act like the kids in these videos, especially this one, you're chill with me. But anyways, Hank just was okay, man, you want to go to Hot Topic, that's fine. Hank hadn't really been in that much, so he didn't really know what to expect. So Hank was walking into, the Hot Topic, and he was looking around, and there's a whole host of people, and Hank's friend was all right, man, I'm going to go to the back of the room. I know what I want. I'm going to go in their skateboard section. You can kind of just wander around here. I'll be out when I'm done. So Hank was totally fine with this, and Hank kind of was wandering around, and he walked over to one of the t-shirt aisles, or one of the t-shirt rack aisles, and that's when he accidentally bumped into this kid. And this kid turns around. And just to paint the picture, this kid has super long black hair. He's got black mascara on, black lipstick. He's got black painted nails. He's got a spiky collar. He's got a black band t-shirt. He's got long black jeans, and then those big black stomper boots. I don't know if you know what I know, if you know what I mean, but those big, kind of those big rubber black boots that are pretty popular right now. And he turns around and he's like, dude, what the heck, bro?
And Hank's just like, all right, my fault. Like, I didn't mean to bump into you like that. I was just looking around and wasn't paying attention. And the emo kid's like, dude, you're shut up, bro. Hank's kind of just looking at him like I don't really know what you mean. Like, I didn't do anything. Like, are you good? And the emo kid's like, bro, like, I don't need to hear that sass from you, bro. Like, I really just don't need to hear that. And Hank says once again, like, dude, I don't know what you're saying. Like, I'm sorry. I'll just go the other way. And Hank kind of turns around to de-escalate because he doesn't feel like, escalating anything. It's just not a good idea to get into fights like that. And that's when the emo kid's like, yeah, you would run. You're dressed like one of those jocks anyways. Which, like, Hank kind of turned around because he didn't know what that even means. First of all, I mean, isn't jock a positive thing? Like, I get that there's a bit of a negative connotation of, like, oh, you're a dumb jock or something. But I would have thought that, like, jock would have meant, like, oh, you're an athlete, which isn't that a good thing? Like, I'm kind of confused right now. Is that not a good thing, And Hank, kind of turns back and he's like, dude, like, why? Like, why are you, like, making a problem with me? I don't have a problem with you. You're kind of the one that's making this into something. Because Hank really did believe, like, I'm not the one doing anything. It's, like, 100% this guy who's making it something, And, the kid's just like, well, like, you're just looking like a dumb jock. Oh, isn't that right, guys? And he turns around, and there's two other emo kids. And they look very similar to the main emo kid, but they kind of just, they're dressed slightly different, but really, I mean, it's funny how, like, I saw this on South Park, but it's funny how, like, nonconformists all dress the same. I'm just like, well, I mean, you are conforming to something, but anyways, right? So the other two kids, the other emo kids are kind of there along too, laughing. And, Hank is starting to, like, get upset by this because he doesn't really care about, like, these random kids, what they think, except, he's got three kids standing there pointing at him, laughing in his face when Hank didn't deserve it. Like, Hank was thinking, like, look, if I deserve this, if I was being, like, an absolute, like, if I was being a jerk to them or for some reason I actually did something, sure, maybe I deserve this. But Hank's just thinking to himself, like, dude, I don't deserve this. I was literally just chilling here. I actually bumped into this kid. Like, I'm sorry about that. Like, my fault. Once again, my fault. But that's when Hank turned the tables on the emo kid. And the thing is, right, the emo kid was wearing a band t-shirt. And the thing about band t-shirts is, you don't necessarily need to know everything about some place that you rep. Like, if you wear a t-shirt that's from Starbucks and someone's like, okay, well, then name all the flavors of, like, cappuccino you can get. It doesn't have to be like that. But the thing is, a lot of people wear band t-shirts because the band t-shirts look sick and they don't know any of the songs from the band, which, I guess is fine. But, like, at the end of the day, a lot of people will kind of pretend to know it and not actually know it. So, Hank was like, well, screw it, bro. He's like, all right, buddy. And he looks at the main emo kid, and the main emo kid looks at him back. And he's like, all right, buddy, name me 3 songs from that band. And he points to the emo kid's t-shirt. And I don't know, maybe it was, like, Nirvana or something. Like, one of those kind of, like, t-shirts or whatever, which, and the emo kid looks at him, and he has this kind of look of shock. This look of, oh my God, like, you caught me. Kind of the look of, like, man got caught in a trap right here type of look. And the emo kid's kind of just like, how about you name me 3 songs from this band, bro? And the emo kid turns to look back at his emo kid friends as kind of like, oh, what's their reaction to that sick burn? And they kind of just look at him blankly. I think the emo kid was kind of expecting he would turn around, he'd look back to his friends, and he'd be like, oh yeah, wasn't that a crazy burn? I totally got them. But his friends look back at him kind of just like, dude, like, I don't know how to break it to you, but you didn't get him. So the emo kid turns back around. He's like, I don't need to do anything you say, bro. I'm not going to conform to your standards. And then the two emo kids were like, yeah, that's right on, bro. You're so right. And they, like, dap him up. And Hank at this point, he's just so done. He's just like, bro, because he realizes, like, Hank's like, you know what? I'm not going to fight with these kids. These kids are obviously a lost cause. This is not worth my time. So Hank gets up, he turns around, and he kind of says, like, whatever, man, like, go live your life. Hank turns around, starts to walk away, and that's when he feels a tug on his pants. And he turns around, and he sees the emo kid failing to pull down his pants. So basically, the emo kid couldn't like, wanted to like, he couldn't let Hank just leave by himself. Like he couldn't let him just do that. So when Hank turned around and started to walk away, the emo kid like went to jump and try and pull down his pants to like pants him, to embarrass him, to like impress his emo kid friends and be like, oh my God, I totally owned him, dude. So at this point, like Hank is like, dude, stop pulling down my pants, bro. And the emo kid's like, oh, sorry, I just slipped. And he's like, and his emo kid friends laugh along as well. At this point, Hank's getting really annoying. He's like, sorry, bro, like, I'm not into you like that. And he's like, what? He's like, yeah, you're trying to pull down my pants. So you're telling me you're not trying to get a peek? And the emo kid's like, dude, it's not like that. I was trying to pants you. And Hank's like, yeah. You wanted to pants me so you could see my bare bottom. Did you really want to see my bare bottom that bad? And at this point, the other two emo kids start laughing a little bit. And the main emo kid turns around and he's like, stop laughing, it's not funny. He turns back around, he's like, dude, you don't know what you just did. And the emo kid walks up to Hank with his chest puffed out. He's like, bro, you literally don't know what you just did. You don't know who you're messing with. Okay, I don't know if he started to tear up or anything. But at the exact same time, the mall cop that happened to be like going around the mall to make sure that nothing's like happening looks into the Hot Topic and sees basically this kid walk up to this other kid with his chest puffed out. So the mall cop outside kind of slows down walking and looks inside. And sure enough, right, Hank is like, hey, look, I'm not looking for any trouble. And the emo kid's like, yeah, that's what I thought. You're freaking scared, bro. Don't tell me otherwise. You're freaking scared. And at this point, Hank's like, dude, I'm not scared. It's not like that. I just don't want any trouble. Like, you're not worth my time. And he's like, I am worth your time. I'm worth all of your time plus some because I'm worth more than you, dude. You don't know who you're messing with. At this point, right, the emo kids was really kind of just showing his true colors and being like, I mean, kid's insecure. That's fair enough. He's trying to act all tough in front of his friends. So once again, Hank's like, he turns around and he's like, all right, man. He's like, dude, I'm just not doing this. Once again, have a good life. Hank turns around, and as Hank's turning around, the emo kid is like, in his head, he's like, I can't let this slide. So the emo kid literally raises up his hand and swings on Hank. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, go ahead and comment emo down below. I just want to see how many people made it to the end of this video, as I do appreciate you guys. Best way to support the channel, as always, is just watch a bunch of the videos. The more watch time you give to the channel, the more we get promoted in the algorithm, and I really, really do appreciate it. Let me know in the comment section what you do while watching my videos. I genuinely want to know. Just so you know, all these episodes are on Spotify. It's in the description, the first link. Please rate us 5 stars when you have a chance. If you want to submit these stories, and please do, because, that's how I make these videos, go to my Instagram or Twitter. They're both in the description, but they're also at Connor Pugs. I got a Discord server, link in description, code ConnorPugs for 10% off gamer subs. Let's get back to the story. So Hank, remember, he turns around and Hank's like, dude, I'm not going to deal with you like that. It's not worth my time. So Hank turns around and the emo kid, who's like, I can't let Hank like one-up me. Like, I can't let this random kid like, kind of like alpha me in front of my emo kid friends or whatever. So as Hank turns around, the emo kid swings on him, takes his fist. The thing is, though, the emo kid's not like a trained, fighter or boxer or something. So obviously the emo kid doesn't make contact with Hank. Instead of making contact with Hank, the emo kid nearly misses Hank, and his right hook goes right through a rack of clothes. The emo kid was really putting his full force into this too. Because once the emo kid misses and whiffs on Hank, the emo kid flies forward into the rack of clothes. So he basically pushes himself into a rack of clothes, fails to swing on him. The mall cop, however, did see the emo kid try and swing on Hank, so he walks in there. Hank turns around, and he sees the emo kid on the floor in a pile of clothes, and he's just so confused on what happened. And then, Hank turns around the other way to see a mall cop standing in front of him. So Hank's really confused at this moment. He's like, okay, 1 second ago, I turned away from the emo kid. And a second later, the emo kid is sitting, face first in a pile of clothes, and a mall cop is standing above me. This literally makes no sense. And sure enough, the mall cop's like, hey, hold up, everyone. I got to talk to you guys. And the two emo kids, from the back, they get scared and they literally run off. They disappear into the rest of the story. He's like, hey, you get back here. But also the mall cop didn't really care that much because the two people that he really wanted to talk to were both Hank and the emo kid who swung on him. So the emo kid gets up. He's like kind of panting a little bit. He's like, and the mall cop's like, hey, I saw you swing on this kid. I know you didn't make contact, but you did try and swing on this kid. It's 100%. Like, what's going on here? The emo kid's like, dude, I was just defending myself. And at this point, Hank's like, that's not the case. Like this kid and I were kind of talking back and forth. He tried to pull down my pants. I made fun of him for doing that. I turned around and he tried to swing on me. At this point, right, the mall cop kind of witnessed the last 60% of this altercation. So he knows for a fact that he saw the emo kid try and pull down the pants and then have an argument. So the emo kid says, well, after I pulled down his pants, this kid tried to swing on me and I just defended myself. And the thing is, right, that was a mistake for the emo kid because the mall cop had been watching the whole thing. So the mall cop knew for a fact that that wasn't the case of what happened. So the mall cop goes on to say, like, dude, I know for a fact that's not what happened. I saw you guys kind of like bickering in the store and I wanted to make sure that we had no like nonsense going on. Obviously some nonsense did go on and I watched the whole thing. I saw you try and pull down this kid's pants. He did not swing on you. I don't know what he said to you that offended you or anything, but it's very clearly that, you're the aggressor here and I can't have that. So he's like, hey, I'm going to need you to come with me. And the emo kid's like, all right, buddy, go ahead with him. And the emo kid is like looking at Hank and kind of giving him this look of like, come on, bud, like, go ahead. He's asking for you. When in truth, that, the mall cop is not asking for Hank. The mall cop is asking for the emo kid. So the mall cop's like, sorry, man, you must be mistaken. I'm not asking for this guy over here, pointing to Hank. He's like, I'm asking for you. And he points at the emo kid. And the emo kid is so absolutely stunned by this revelation. He's like, at this point, the emo kid is practically speechless. The emo kid is standing there, is just like, you must have some kind of mistake or something. Like, you can't be talking about me. That's insane. Like, there's no way. Like, what do you mean? Hanks is looking at the emo kid with this bit of a smirk, and the mall cop is kind of like, come on, bud. Like, we don't want to have any trouble here. Make this nice and easy for all of us, and just come along with me. And, at this point, the emo kid is looking at Hank and kind of just giving him this look of like, this isn't over, buddy. This isn't over. And Hank is kind of just like, wow, this like a lot just went down the last 5 minutes, because this was like no longer than like 10 minutes of an altercation. And as soon as the mall cop basically drags the emo kid away, his friend comes rushing up to him and he's like, dude, like I just checked out the thing I was getting. And in his hand, he had this like skateboard thing or whatever. He's like, dude, I just saw like a mall cop over here. I saw some kid getting dragged out of the store. Did you happen to see what happened? And Hank just looks at his friend and is like, did I happen to see what happened? He's like, buddy, I lived what happened. Okay, so we're going to call the subscriber for the next story Bobby. I got a little King the Hill theme going on with these names because I got Bobby and Hank. If you know, you know, and you're cool. Anyway, so Bobby was like hanging out at home one day and one of his friends hits him up. And, Bobby, doesn't see this friend this often because they happen to be going to two different schools, even though they live relatively in the same area. They're both in high school and they're both seniors in high school. So Bobby's friend, who we're going to call Ben, actually happens to have a car at this point. And, Bobby's friend Ben hits up Bobby one day and Bobby's just chilling at home and he gets a text from Ben saying, hey, do you want to like hang out today? And Bobby was feeling kind of lazy. So he's like, maybe like, what do you want to do? His friend's like, dude, I want to go to the skate park. And Bobby in his head, he's like, I don't know if I want to go. Like, this is, I don't know. I don't know, man. I really don't know. And Bobby should have stayed home that day based on what was about to go down, but he didn't because he wanted to see his friend Ben, and he was like, wait, what else am I going to do today? Watch Netflix? I know for a fact by the end of the day, if I'm just sitting here watching Netflix, I'm not going to be a happy camper. So sure enough, Bobby texts him back. He's like, yeah, man, like, I don't got a ride, but if you can pick me up 100%. So sure enough, this friend, I don't know, an hour later, pulls up to Bobby's house and says, hey, man, get in. And, Bobby shows up to the window. He's like, hey, what's up, Ben? Haven't seen you in forever. Just so you know, I don't have a skateboard, just so you're aware. And Ben's like, dude, I got two in the back. Don't worry about that. I got you. So sure enough, Ben hops into the car with Bobby. And, they drive, or Bobby hops into the car with Ben. They drive over to the skate park, which is like 15 minutes away from where Bobby lives. And they get out, and, you know, Bobby used to skate a little bit back in the day with his friend. It's been a while, so he's not going to do any tricks or anything like that, but he's just getting along, he's just getting on the board. He's kind of riding around a bit, just getting a little bit of exercise. And mostly he's out there just to hang out with Ben, because he hasn't seen Ben in a second, and they used to be really tight. So sure enough, you know, Bobby and Ben are just chilling at the skate park. They're having a good time. They're kind of just living their life. And that's when a very specific looking group, of these emo kids. They pop out of nowhere, basically, and they just appear at the end of the skate park. So this skate park is pretty big. It's not like a massive one. It's not like where you'd have a professional skater event or something. But it's a pretty big skate park. Like, the city definitely put some, like, a good amount of bread into making this. So sure enough, you know, they're looking over and they see this group of kids. And this group of kids has, like, a ringleader that's, like, standing in front of the other two. And he's kind of dressed like they're all dressed like kind of like the other emo kids in the last Storytime. So I'm not going to go ahead and describe them. They're dressed a little bit differently, but it's all kind of the same, if you know what I mean. So sure enough, you know, the kids are just standing at the end of the park. And it's really awkward because, like, Bobby goes over to Ben. He's like, dude, like, see those kids? And Ben's like, yeah, I've just been staring at them. And Ben's like, dude, they've just been looking at us for, like, the last, and he checks his watch. He's like, dude, they just been looking at us for, like, the last like 2 minutes, bro. That's really freaking weird. And, you know, Bobby's like, yeah, man, like, this is kind of weird. I don't totally know, like, what's the deal with all this. Like, do you know what's up with them? And Ben's like, dude, I don't go to this skate park. Like, this is your skate park. And Bobby's like, yeah, I don't really skate anymore, so I don't know. Maybe this is, like, a place they normally go to. Either way, this is kind of weird. Let's just stay on this side, and hopefully they'll stay on their side. And if they come over, you know, hopefully they're cool. Spoiler, they're not cool. Yeah, they're the farthest thing from cool. But anyways, you know, Bobby and Ben try and ignore these kids, as these kids literally, the thing is, these kids, they don't even have they don't even have, like, a skateboard with them. And you don't need to have a skateboard to hang out at a skate park. You know, a park is a park, and it's a cool place to just hang out with some friends. That's 100% true. However, I will say it is a little weird to, like, show up in a group of kids or a group of, like, a bunch of people, stand there and watch other people without saying anything to each other, without doing anything like that. I will say that itself is pretty weird. So sure enough, you know, Bobby and Ben are just kind of standing there like, dude, this is really freaking weird. What's going on? And that's when they look over, and sure enough, they see the emo kids start to walk closer to them. Like, the emo kids were just standing there for a good solid, I would say 10 minutes. And that's when the emo kids start to walk over to Bobby and Ben. And at this point, you know, Ben turns over. He's like, dude, what is up with your neighborhood, bro? Like, why do you always get the weirdos? And Bobby's like, dude, it's not my fault. I don't go here this often. I don't know. And that's when the group of emo kids shows up. And there's, like, very clearly, like, this is going to sound weird, but, like, an alpha one. Like, okay. I'm not trying to use, like, weird, like, alpha male terms or whatever. Oh, Connor, which one's a sigma male? Shut up if you say that in the comment section, unironically, dude. Actually, shut up. But anyways, sure enough, you know, the kind of, like, the alpha of the pack, whatever that even means in emo pack words, is like, hey, you two, I need a word with you. And Bobby and Ben kind of just look at each other just like, oh, my God, like, what's going on here? It's just kind of strange. You know, Ben kind of, like, whispers over to Bobby, like, dude, we are never going back to your park ever again. And Bobby kind of just gives him this look of, like, dude, I can't control this. So sure enough, the emo kid, let's just call him the alpha emo kid. No, I can't say that for much longer. The main emo kid, King the Pack or whatever, walks up to them. He's like, bro, do you not know? And Bobby and Ben kind of look at each other, and, you know, Bobby speaks up and says, no, like, knows what? Like, no what? The emo kid laughs. He's like, oh, you don't know then. This is our turf, dude. And Bobby and Ben kind of look at each other, and Ben speaks up like, turf? Emo kid's like, yeah, man, you don't understand. This is our turf. And Bobby just means, like, what does that even mean? And they're like, dude, you don't want to mess with us. And one of them, like, legitimately pulls out, like, a wand. Not like a knife or something, not like actually trying to be intimidating. Like, this isn't like, oh, they think they're, like, actually in a gang or something. This is their turf. They pull out a wand, like a freaking Harry Potter magic wand. And, you know, the main emo kid's like, bro, my boy over here knows magic. You don't want to mess with him, dude. And so Bobby and Ben kind of look at these kids, and, you know, Ben speaks up. Ben's a little bit more brash. Ben's a little bit more, you know, I don't know, confident is maybe the wrong word, but I'm going to use that word, than confrontational, that's right. Ben's a bit more confrontational than Bobby is. So Bobby would have been fine literally just going somewhere else. It's not like there's not a lot of other places. I mean, there's not a lot of other places they could go, but it's not like Bobby's a big skater in the first place. He just wanted to hang out with Ben. And Ben literally goes up. He's like, dude, what are you going to do with that little magic wand? You're going to wave it around, put a spell on me? It's this freaking Harry Potter, dude. We don't care. You guys don't have turf. That's ridiculous. Like, look, we're not taking up the whole park. This park's massive. You guys chill over there. We'll do our thing over here. There won't be any trouble. The emo kid's like, dude, there's going to be trouble if you guys don't leave, or at least pay respects. And, Ben at this point's like, the frick you mean pay respects? Like, what is that? Like, what do you even mean by that? And at this point, Bobby's starting to realize that Ben is kind of finding this amusing more than concerning. Bobby's more concerned by this just because they outnumber them like 4-2. And these emo kids definitely like aren't hitting the gym every day. But at the same time, like 4-2, it doesn't matter like how big you are. Like, you're not taking them one-on-one. So like Bobby didn't want anything like that. Even if it's that emo kid smoke, he didn't want it in the first place. So sure enough, Bobby kind of looks at Ben and kind of gives him a look of like, hey, like, come on now. And Ben is like, no, I'm going with this. And Ben's like, all right, man, you know what? Put a spell on us, bro. Like, if you honestly, like, you know what? We're going to take the punishment. Put a spell on us. And the main emo kid looks at them and is like, dude, you don't want our smoke like that. You don't want us to, like, drop a spell on you like that, bro. You don't know our power. You don't totally get it. And Bobby is just looking at them. And Bobby's like kind of like completely freaked out at this point. Not that they're going to actually put a spell on him and, I don't know, curse him or something. Bobby's just so freaked out by everything going on that he just doesn't want anything to do with it. So Bobby is like, I don't know, man. How about we just like, we stay here and you go over there? And the emo kid's like, I'm not talking to you, little boy. Which like Bobby was like so taken aback by this. And Ben was like, you don't call my friend that. Come on, if you're such a big guy, little boy. And at this point, Ben says little boy back to them. If you're not such a big guy, little boy, put a spell on us. And he points to the guy in the back. And there's like a little emo kid in the back with like a little magic wand or something. The main emo kid says, you know what? Gentlemen, I don't want you guys to be seriously hurt. So I'm going to give you one more chance to leave the premises. Or my friend will put a spell on you, and you will be cursed so badly that you will not make it out of this park alive. We have magical powers that you simply don't understand. And Ben is looking at them, and Bobby is looking at them, and the emo kids are looking back. At this point, it's a classic. It's one of those classic Texas standoffs, like who's gonna shoot first, but instead of shooting, it's either staying there or shooting your magic spells through your wand or whatever. And, Ben was like, all right, no, we're staying here. Put a spell on us. Do it. And the emo kid is like, fine, you have sealed your fate. And all of them walk away. At this point, Bobby and Ben look at each other. Bobby's like, dude, those kids are weird. Like, I have no idea what's going on. Ben is like, really is your neighborhood spawning out the most NPCs in the world, dude? Like, this is crazy. And, Bobby and Ben were probably going to go back and forth a little bit about how weird these kids were, but they were unfortunately interrupted by chanting. So they look over and they see the emo kids like holding hands, chanting, like kind of like going in a circle, like kind of like moving in a circle, holding hands, chanting like demonic tongues. At this point, Bobby's like, bro, I'm kind of freaked out. And Ben's like, dude, this is a comedy routine. Please, like, chill out. And at this point, they do, like, the chanting gets louder and louder. And it's kind of weird. Like, it's really strange. It's like they definitely been rehearsing this. And Bobby admits to me that for a split second, he was thinking, like, dude, what if these kids actually have magic powers? Spoiler, they don't. They're just weird, right? And by the end of the chant, one of the kids comes over. The main one grabs the wand, starts swinging it around, and starts walking over to them. He's like, one last chance, boys. I'm giving you one last chance to literally survive. I'm giving you one more chance unless you want to, if you want to leave here and see your parents again. And Bobby was just in his head like, dude, this kid's legitly weird. And Ben says, bring it on, dude. I want to see the worst you have. And Bobby was like, he admits, he was a little bit concerned just because, I don't know, just like the confidence these emo kids had was kind of startling. And the main emo kid's like, fine. Takes up his wand, He starts like saying a bunch of like random gibberish and waving his wand in a circular motion, pointing it at Bobby, right? Or at Ben, not Bobby. And Ben, kind of looks at Bobby and gives him a wink. And Bobby knows that, but Ben's about to be up to some mischief. And the kid is like, ha da da da, ha da da da, ha boy. Or it does like what is very clearly like the final motion. And Ben literally like opens his eyes super wide, clutches his heart, and drops to the ground and doesn't move. Bobby is like a little bit freaked out, but he also remembers that Ben just like gave him a big wink. And you hear all the emo kids, like some of them are in the back like, oh my God, it actually worked. The spell actually worked. And the main emo kid has this look on his face, like the most scared look you've ever seen. The main emo kid was terrified because for for a good 30 seconds, the main emo kid actually thought that he just killed this kid from his like magic spell or whatever. So sure enough, the emo kid like drops his wand, rushes up to Ben and is like, no, the spell, it was too powerful. I should have held back. And Bobby's just looking at him. And the emo kids, the other ones, are standing like talking to each other. And they're like frantically talking to each other. They're really concerned about this. They're like, dude, do we call the cops? Do we bury the body? Like, what do we do? Like, what if our parents find out? All this kind of nonsense, right? And that's when you hear giggling. It started as giggling, but then it just evolved into laughter. And that's when Ben flips over and you can see that he's just been laughing. He couldn't hold it in any longer. And he gets up, he's like, oh my God, you fell for it. This is the funniest thing ever. He's like, guys, you're not wizards, you're just weird. Go to that side of the park. We're gonna be here, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's when I think the emo kids kind of realized that, they weren't going to scare them out of there, and they definitely were not going to fight them out of there either. So sure enough, the emo kids they don't even say anything. These kids they're kind of done with trying to scare like Bobby and Ben out of there. So they pick up their stuff, they get up, and they leave. And Bobby and Ben, they go back to doing their whatever they were doing before. But it really was just never the same after that, because like for the rest of the day, Ben would just continuously make emo kid jokes and Bobby would laugh and make them back. So in fact, the rest of the day was better than ever before. And this happened a long time ago. Like this happened like 4 or 5 years ago. And Bobby and Ben actually reunited about a year ago. And literally the only thing they did during their when they reunited was retold this story and made jokes about it the entire time. And this is probably, if you want to continue supporting the channel, please
click
watch
on the
another
video on screen right now.
Bye.
I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it, do it. How's it going, everyone? Hope you're having a good day. So today we got a very, very, very interesting story. Actually, we got 2 stories, but the first story is about... I get the most interesting submissions. By the way, submit stuff to my Instagram. It's in the description. It's of a... emo vampire kid tries to eat some subscriber in class. You know what? I'm not going to try and explain it. I'm not going to go through the mental gymnastics to try and justify such a title. We're just going to go straight into the story. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this Alex. And in Alex's class, it doesn't really matter what the class is. We can just say it's a history class. In this class, there's an emo vampire kid. And normally I would give him a shorthand name, but I just think that calling someone emo vampire kid is so funny. I'm just gonna say emo vampire kid every single time this kid's name comes up. So anyways, Alex and his friends one day were sitting behind the emo vampire kid. And when I mean emo vampire kid, I mean, first of all, he was dressing in the all black aesthetic, had he was like a mix of both, but it was like emphasis on the vampire. So he came in kind of like the emo dress, like one would kind of like that. However, he also had like a black cloak and he had fake fangs every single day. And, that's kind of funny, whatever, it doesn't really matter. If you're a normal dude and you do that, okay, you're probably not super normal if you do that, but let's say you act normal, but you just have that on, who really cares? But if you act like you're actually a 16th century vampire, might be some problems, maybe a few here and there. But anyways, Alex and his friends were sitting behind the emo vampire kid. And they just they normally didn't sit behind him
Because you know how, like, in classes, you have assigned seats. It's like, oh, you always sit there every day, so you kind of just assume that everyone else doesn't sit there because they're sitting where their assigned seat is. Well, one day, about a third of the way through the year, right, the kids, or there was a bunch of kids sitting in the spots that Alex and his friends used to sit in, which was kind of middle of the front row, right? So they're looking around, and they're like, okay, there's like a seat like in the way front, and we're not necessarily trying to do that, or kind of farther in the back behind that one kid that's kind of weird. Alex and his friends kind of decide that, they want to sit back there. Like, it's not like they're sitting in the same row as the emo vampire kid. They're just sitting one row behind him, so that shouldn't really be an issue. And the emo vampire kid got the entire row to himself, partially because I think people were scared, but also partially because his cloak, like, was flowing onto the two seats next to him. So if someone was to sit, they'd have to be like, hey, can I move your cloak? I just don't think people are trying to, like, come up with that sentence, right? So Alex and his friends, they sit behind the emo vampire kid, and class begins, and they're all, like, kind of paying attention. But when you sit in the back and when you're with your friends, you can only have so much attention, right? You can only pay so close of attention. And they were kind of sitting there and talking, and all of a sudden, the emo vampire kid turns around, does like a full 180, and just is glaring directly at Alex. And Alex, in the middle of a sentence, just kind of like stops talking and just kind of like looks at the emo vampire kid, and kind of just looks at the kid. They're just kind of having a staring contest at this point, and Alex is really uncomfortable because this is not normal. The simulation did not prepare us for this, It's, what? Yeah, anyways, right? So the emo vampire kid, he's just staring at him. And then he hisses at him and, like, shows his fangs. He's like, and, like, shows his fangs off or something. And Alex and his friends are there. It's funny, but they don't even laugh. They're a little bit too scared to laugh right now. Not that, like, this kid's actually a vampire, but, it's just so unpredictable what he's going to do. I mean, you can read the title. I'm assuming you can read, which I'm not convinced everyone who watches my videos can read. But that's for another story. But for those of you who can, have graduated past preschool, which I'm not sure all of you guys have, but you can probably read the title, and yeah, it says that there's an emo vampire kid that bit someone. So obviously this kid's up to no good, but Alex doesn't assume that, this kid's gonna, bite them or something. So here's where the real trouble comes. You might be thinking, well, this hasn't been the real trouble. No, it gets worse. It's not great. So, the next day, so for about like a week, the emo vampire kid continuously, like, turns around midway through class and will stare at either Alex or one of his two friends. And it's just really weird. And they're kind of just like, okay, this is really strange. And they were considering sitting in the front of the room, right? So midway through class, Alex gets up because he has to go to the bathroom. And the emo vampire kid sees this. So Alex gets up, he walks past his desk, and immediately Alex feels himself falling and hitting the ground. Alex, a little embarrassed, gets up quickly and, like, goes to the bathroom. And when he comes back, Alex sits down, and his friend's like, dude, I can't believe that kid tripped you. And Alex is like, what? And they're like, yeah, like, as you're walking, like, the emo vampire kid. I just love that name, emo vampire. The emo vampire kid stuck his leg out and tripped you, dude. And Alex is like, what? And the emo vampire kid turns around and, like, laughs or whatever. It's like, like, just some really cringe laugh. Or I don't even know, but he's chuckling. I don't know, man. I've never heard someone actually say chuckling. I'm just going to say it. Like, I know it's a word, but no one says that. But yeah, so anyways, emo vampire kid is just, like, turns back around. And Alex is getting kind of mad because, he ate dirt, let's say that, in front of everyone, man. And that's not necessarily something you want to... It's embarrassing. I mean, I don't know what grade they're in. I don't think that they were in high school, but they also weren't, like, toddlers at this point, so they were probably, like, late middle school or something like that. But yeah, I mean, that's still pretty embarrassing. So, on the bell rings, they get up, And the emo kid must have been super confident because the emo kid stuck their leg out again as to trip Alex again. But obviously Alex was a bit more aware, and the emo kid did not time their leg extension correctly. So the leg like shoots. Imagine you're like walking past someone and you're about to walk near them and their leg shoots out. Like, is that really about to trip you? No. And Alex looks at the emo kid, and the emo kid is laughing and smiling, is like, whatever. And Alex is like, dude, you're weird, and just so you know, vampires don't even exist. And he kind of said that as kind of like he didn't have a good, because Alex was mad, and he really didn't have a good comeback at the tip of his head. He couldn't come up with one. So when he said, like, vampires don't even exist, in his head, he's like, damn, Alex, like, you can't roast for your own life, man. Like, come on now. Like, that was the worst roast ever. But then Alex kind of makes eye contact with the emo vampire virgin, whatever, right? No, emo vampire kid, sorry. And the emo vampire kid was very clearly disturbed by such an accusation that vampires aren't real. Ah, how dare you? So the vampire kid looks at him and he gets all serious. And Alex is like, in his head, he's like, I guess that did work then. Okay, that's nice. And the vampire kid's like, I'm going to give you to the count of 3. And if you don't take that back, your life will never be the same. Alex in his head was like, okay, like, I don't know what this kid's capable of. Like, he's really weird, so I know he's capable of being weird. But no, I'm not going to take it back. That's ridiculous, right? I'm not going to, submit to this kid because I said vampires aren't real and that, hurt his feelings. Facts don't care about your feelings, guys. No, but, he's like, no, I'm just not going to do that. So he looks at him, and they basically just have a staring contest. And the emo kid's like, 1. It's always so awkward to me when there's like a countdown and you know that the person that the countdown's being levied against just isn't going to do anything. Like, it's like 3, 2, and you just know that like the long stretched out countdown is just a countdown to nothing. But anyways, he's kind of just like looking at him with his blank stare. And the emo kid's like, 2, 3. He's like, 3.0. And Alex is looking at him like, dude, that's not different from 3, man. And he's like, fine, then you've chosen to ruin your life. And the emo vampire kid, quickly gets up and grabs his stuff and runs out of the class. And his like cape flutters behind him as he's running back or whatever. And Alex just kind of looks at his friend. And his friend looks back at him. And then Alex looks at his friend again. His friend just looks back at him. And then they look at each other. Then they look at the third friend. And then the third friend looks at both of them. And then they all look at each other. And they're like, damn. That was something, man. So anyways, it gets more interesting the next day. Because the emo kid doesn't show up to class. Right away, at least. He shows up a little later. And, they sit down, and after, 5 minutes, they're like, oh, word. This kid isn't in class. That's good. I don't want to, we don't have to deal with him. So Alex and his friends were actually, they were chilling. They're having a pretty good time. And, so anyways, him and his friends were just, waiting, and, the emo vampire kid.
Hi, Connor.
How'd they get in? I thought I locked the door. No. All right, just a little distraction. I had to fight off these, these intruders, a.k.a. stalker fans, with my 2 bare fists. But yeah, I fought them both off. 2v1, absolutely destroyed them both. I'm just significantly better than both of them in street combat, so they didn't stand a chance. But anyways, back to the story. So they're waiting for the the emo vampire kid to come in, and he doesn't. So they're like, oh, word. So we're actually gonna have an okay class period for once, right? This is gonna be okay. And that's where it's no longer true. It gets worse. It unfortunately gets worse from here, right? So they're waiting, and they're just chilling in class, and they're having a good time. And that's when they see the door creak open a little bit. And nobody notices this except Alex, apparently. Alex looks at the door, and he sees, someone looking in. It opens the door just so slightly, he sees eyes looking at him. And he immediately recognizes, oh my God, that's the emo vampire kid.
And it wouldn't be weird because kids are sometimes late to class. The teacher's not happy, but it happens. I don't know. But the kid wasn't coming in. He was just looking into the classroom. And he wasn't just looking into the classroom. He was looking at Alex specifically. So Alex is like, hell nah, bro. This is too weird for me. So Alex breaks eye contact. He looks back down. He's like, okay, whatever. He's like, okay, at least it's going to stop here. It's not going to get any weirder. And that's when he hears the door fling open and the emo vampire kid sprint into class with his like arms behind him, like Naruto running style, and his cape is flying all around or whatever. And he just is like runs in screaming. The whole class stops what they're doing because it's pretty hard to ignore this, one would say. And the kid runs in and jumps on Alex's leg and literally chomps into his leg. And Alex is like, like kind of like lets out, I think, a scream or whatever. The teacher, in a lot of these stories, the teachers are like too stunned to act right away. But this teacher was fast. He was on top of it like that. The teacher ran over, grabbed the emo vampire kid, kind of ripped him off Alex. Alex immediately grabbed his leg, looked at it. There was like these like weird bite marks. You know when someone like bites your arm? Because that happens all the time. And it kind of leaves like indentations, but you know those indentations are going to go away in 5 minutes. And as long as it doesn't break the skin, you're pretty good. You're pretty safe. The teacher still said like teacher's like, did he break the skin? Are you bleeding? Alex said no. And the teacher's like, well, you should probably just go to the nurse's office, just make sure it's checked up. And he's like, real quick, do you know why this happened? And, Alex is like, no. And the emo kid's like, lies, you know. And the teacher looks at Alex, and Alex is like, oh, well, I mean, I did say, like, vampires aren't real. Yeah, I mean, if that caused this, then... And the teacher looks down the emo vampire kid, and the emo vampire kid is, like, hissing at Alex. And Alex is just looking at him back like, okay. And the teacher's like, all right, Alex, go to the nurse's office. I'm going to deal with this. Everyone else in class, open up to chapter 6. Take notes. By the time I'm back, I'm gonna quiz you guys on what's going on. Like, don't be like slacking off or anything. Like, this is still like we're still in class or whatever, and leaves. I mean, I think the teacher just wasn't having it today, and I can understand. So Alex goes to the nurse's office, and yeah, he's fine. It's kind of whatever. And turns out, the emo vampire kid was asked to move classes. He was in a different section just because they thought it wouldn't be good to have Alex and him in the same section. And why punish Alex by mixing up his schedule because he was bitten? That he seems like the victim in this sense. Anyways, next story is about a school bus driver who tries to fight a kid. It's a very, very interesting story. You should stick around. We're going to call the subscriber. I didn't give him a name on my list. I have a little list of stuff. We're going to call him Daniel. Okay, that's a good name. I don't know if you could hear my keyboard clicks, but Daniel. So anyways, Daniel was on the bus, and he was like, he observed this whole thing go down. In the very front of the bus, there was this annoying kid. I mean, he was kind of annoying. He was, how there's like, I don't know if you guys have this in your grade, if you're still in school, because only Stanford PhDs watch the Connor Pugs YouTube channel, not, yeah. But anyways, like, I don't know if you guys have had this kid in your class, or back in the day when you were in like middle school or something. But there's like that one kid who is like nice, I guess, and kind of, but he's really, really out there. And it's good to be out there, but he's like really out there in the sense that like everything's about attention, everything is crazy, and he's kind of just known as the annoying kid because he is annoying. Anyways, right, so he brings food in the bus, and it's like the one rule of the bus besides don't unscrew the bus while it's going or set the lighter fluid on fire. The one real rule of the bus was you just can't bring food on the bus. Can't bring food, can't bring drinks. Like, if you have it, it has to be in your backpack because some kids did bring a lunch to school. You can't take it out. You can't eat it like that because, they allowed that years ago, and the bus was always a mess, and the school driver would have to clean it up, and then there's, like, rats or roaches or something. He's like, I'm done. I'm not doing that. It's the one rule. It's my bus. We can have at least one rule here. So the the cringey, what did I say? The annoying kid
The annoying kid. It's always the insert adjective kid, whatever. So the annoying kid brings food in the bus, and very politely the school bus driver's like, hey, you can't have that. And the annoying kid's like, what? You're not letting me eat food? Dude, it's in the Constitution, man. I can eat food. I swear, like, people say it as a joke, but there are some people that, like, unironically will say, it's in the Constitution, to just something that is just not in the Constitution. And it's like, it's my constitutional right to get Chick-fil-A on Sunday, man. Why are you closed? But anyways, the bus driver very politely is like, sorry, it's the one rule of the bus. And the kid, the annoying kid, actually complies. He puts this, the food away or whatever. The next day on the bus, this kid brings food again. And this time, the school bus driver is a little snappier, like, hey, I told you yesterday you can't be bringing food. You got to put it away. So, he puts it away. And, the annoying kid, like, kind of sneaks some snacks or whatever, sneaks some bites or something. And, maybe if this kid wasn't getting breakfast, maybe, I don't know. There might be a reason, but he was also, the annoying kid was being pretty annoying about it, so it's hard to feel too sympathetic. On the third day, the kid took out this, like, candy bar, unwrapped it, and took a bite into it. And the school bus driver, because this was, like, before, like, they even were going, like, if you're going to eat on the bus and you really can't, first of all, don't go basically in the front row, don't have the aisle seat, and don't eat it while the bus driver is taking attendance, watching you guys walk in. Like, that's the dumbest thing ever. Sit in the back, kind of, like, crouch down, and while they're driving, they're not going to know, okay, unless someone tells on you. But anyways, like, he's eating, and the bus driver comes over and takes the candy bar, and is like, I've told you 3 times already, I'm sorry, like, this is the final strike, I'm confiscating this. And the annoying kid was not having this at all. He was so angry, he was, like, fighting back. He wasn't physically fighting back, but he's like, you can't take that away from me, you're stealing from me, I'm going to report you to this, right. And the bus driver says, it's actually now, this bus is in, I work for the school. Because this was like a private bus that the school contracted out. So maybe he didn't actually work, but it was a school rule because it was like a bus rule. And while they were on the bus, it was like school, whatever. He said, it is a rule. And like, you can report me all you want, but you broke the rule and like, I'm allowed to confiscate it. Like, that's just part of it. Sorry, bud. And the annoying kid was silent because he was always talking super loud. He was silent for the rest of the bus ride. The subscriber, Daniel, kind of just thought, because Daniel was, like, watching all this go down. Daniel kind of just thought that, like, the kid was embarrassed. But, in fact, the kid was not embarrassed. I mean, he probably was. But he was not just embarrassed. He was also plotting his revenge. So the next day comes around, and this is the fateful day where everything goes down. And the kid, once again, brings food. The bus driver, once again, is not very happy about this, which I can understand. I mean, the kid brought food when he shouldn't have. And the bus driver is like, I got to take that away from you again. Like, if you keep doing this, you're not going to be allowed on the bus. And the annoying kid's like, oh, is that true? And what he had in his hand was a big thing of, like, chocolate milk. But it was, like, kind of a stickier, more sludgy, okay, not sludge, but it was a thicker substance. There we go. It was a thicker substance. And, the annoying kid makes direct eye contact with the bus driver and takes off the cap and literally pours the chocolate milk all over the seat. It drips all over, drips on the floor, is like sticking to everything, is falling all over the place. And, the annoying kid is like, well, that's what you get for taking my food. And in the middle of saying that, the bus driver, who does something he probably shouldn't have, just so you know, I don't condone this, but it's a story, I'm just telling it. The bus driver literally slaps this kid across the face. He must have just been having a bad day or week or month or existence. I don't even know. He was just not having it right now. And boom! The entire class, or everyone on the bus, I should say, who was kind of like talking with each other, go dead silent. And of course, the annoying kid or whatever starts like crying because, I don't know, he's in like 5th grade. You can't be doing that to a kid. Just take them off the bus or punish them. And immediately the bus driver just realizes that he messed up. So the bus driver's like, everyone out, like, and
because, like, this was before they left, and all these kids are like, but I gotta get to school, and he says, I don't care, everyone off now. So the bus driver basically just has a breakdown at this point. And yeah, everyone's standing there. One of the kids thankfully has a phone because they were young enough, I think 4th or 5th grade, where most of them didn't have any way to communicate. Thankfully, one of them did, called one of the parents that ended up communicating with all the parents. So all the parents came and picked them up, and the school was informed. And the next day that they got on the bus, yeah, there was a totally new bus driver. And I think because of how the bus driver reacted, the annoying kid didn't get in trouble at all, which obviously, being, you know, a jerk and spilling stuff, you know, on the bus driver's bus because, you know, he made you mad. It's a bad thing to do, but it's not as bad as, like, literally slapping a kid. Like, that's terrible. So, yeah, they never saw that bus driver again, and I got a feeling he will not be driving that many more buses in his future. Today, we got a pretty crazy story of a Minecraft kid who ruins the school play. I know you'll enjoy this, so let's get into it. We're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Robert. So anyways, Robert was in the 5th grade, and the 5th grade play was like the big thing at his school. That was like the big deal that everyone would talk about, everyone would be excited for. And it was like it was almost like a coming of age celebration. It was almost like you are now really a true middle schooler once you've completed the 5th grade play. And all the 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, whatever graders really enjoyed watching it, as it was always kind of a fun event. Basically, the whole lower school type thing had the entire day off when the 5th grade play was. They were able to watch it in the afternoon, and they basically got a half day on that day. So it was also really fun because they were able to go home early, and it was like no classes or whatever. So it was a really fun celebration. It was just a really great time. Anyways, so the auditions for the 5th grade play happened about 1 to 2 months before the play actually happened. And Robert was pretty excited. Robert had no intentions of having, I don't know, like a main role or anything, but he was just excited to be part of the 5th grade play, as that was a pretty big deal. So anyways, you know, it's the day of the auditions, and there's only, you know, the play has already been written, and it's been chosen, and it's like, I don't know, it's always like one of these classic fairy tales or whatever. So they're maybe doing, or like a classic story. So for this year, they're doing James and the Giant Peach. I remember when I was actually, I think in 2nd or 3rd grade, my 3rd grade play or 2nd grade play was also James and the Giant Peach, and I had a great time doing that, and apparently it was a good play, according to my mom. She wouldn't be biased, right? She wouldn't tell me it was a great play, even though it wasn't, right? Anyways, though, so it was James and the Giant Peach, so you got, like, all the... I kind of forgot the story, but anyways, I think I was a grasshopper or something, so you got, like, a grasshopper as a character. I don't know, man. But anyways, the important thing to know is that there was no creeper from Minecraft in James and the Giant Peach. That might sound like a really, really weird fact, like, okay, Connor, yeah, and there also was no Darth Vader in James and the Giant Peach. I can list weird, unimportant facts as well. However, this is correctly a weird fact. However, it's not unimportant, as you will soon see. Because there's another character that is time for me to introduce, and he will be known as the Minecraft Kid. So anyways, right, the Minecraft Kid is obsessed with Minecraft. It's a great game. It's the background gameplay for a lot of my games. I actually got a lot of my videos. I just got it from my friends a couple nights ago too, so we can casually like flip it on if we got nothing better to do. It's a great game. I do enjoy it a lot. However, this kid's entire life was Minecraft, and when I was in 5th grade, I was kind of similar. I really enjoyed the game as well, and it was a big part of my childhood, so I don't blame him. However, he went a little bit far. So anyways, let's skip to the day of the auditions. So James was there, Robert, sorry. I'm thinking of like James and the Giant Peach, so if I call Robert James, I'm sorry, you know what I mean. Anyway, so Robert and everyone in the 5th grade was there. There was a lot of buzz, a lot of excitement. There were definitely some kids who were like really ready and really wanted specific parts, so they were a little bit stressed out. Robert was just here to have a good time and was excited to be part of something bigger that he remembered always enjoying when he was a little kid, and now he was on the stage instead of being in the audience watching. So anyways, Robert is just there and it's very chill. However, Robert also witnesses the Minecraft Kid, and the Minecraft Kid goes up to the director and is basically asking, like, hey, director, I want the role of the creeper. Like, I want to be the creeper that comes in and explodes. And the director looks at him and kind of goes, what? Like, bro, what? He's like, I'm sorry, Minecraft Kid. There is no creeper. I'm not sure if that is, but that's very much not a thing in this play. Like, here are the roles, like, just so it's clear, just so you know, as I'm sure is a misunderstanding. Here are the characters you can the people can audition for. Here are the roles. Also, if you don't want to be a character, you can always be in the the behind the scenes, coordinating, lightroom, whatever you want to do like that. Yeah, so that's also an option. But yeah, here are the people like that you can audition for if you want a speaking part. And the Minecraft kid kind of looks at him and says, "No, no, no, you don't understand. I want to be the creeper. I want to be the creeper that comes in and goes." The guy kind of looks at him and is like, "Hey man, like, I'm sorry, these are the roles. I can't change it now. We've already got the script. I'm sorry." Minecraft's kid is not very happy. However, he still gets a role as more of a background character. I don't know exactly, but he does have some airtime, but he doesn't have a ton. So anyways, right, for the next couple months or so, they're practicing, they're learning their lines, they're on stage. And Robert just gets a sense from the Minecraft kid that he's just not feeling it. He's not super energized. He's just not super into it. Robert doesn't understand that the reason why is the Minecraft kid is super bummed out that he cannot be a creeper and explode and like do Minecraft stuff in James and the Giant Peach. I don't know. Robert just thinks that the kid just isn't super excited about it, which, that's totally fine. I mean, that's not a crime or anything. So anyways, right, Robert and everyone else starts to get prepared as it's only a couple weeks until the actual audition. And that's when Robert overhears the Minecraft kid talking to, like, his one other friend. And the Minecraft kid is like, "Man, like, I don't understand why I couldn't have been the creeper. Like, my role now is, like, fine or whatever, but I just know that being the creeper would be so, so much better. I just know for a fact. And, the director, I know he'll thank me. I know he'll be, like, proud of me if I do what I think is right." And when Robert hears this, he's just a little bit confused in general because he's like, I don't totally understand what this kid means, but whatever, I guess. And he doesn't understand that, this kid is basically alluding that he will be taking this play into his own hands, basically. And yeah, you guys are about to see what the Minecraft kid is talking about, and it is quite interesting. By the way, if you made it as far into the video, comment Minecraft down below. I'll try and heart a bunch of those comments. Anyways, though. So yeah, they go back to, let's say, skip ahead to, like, the day before. And it is, like, there's a lot of nerves, there's a lot of tension. Basically, everyone has their lines down. It's really just, like, the final rehearsal, the final rundown. And by the end of it, Robert and everyone else involved is really excited because they all did a very good job. And the director, brings them together at the end of it and says, "Guys, you have, like, gone above and beyond my expectations. I've done this for many years. Like, I've been the 5th grade play director every single time, and I don't want to point out favorites, but you guys have been very, very, very good. Like, you guys have it way down. Congratulations. Tomorrow's going to be a victory lap. Let's go out and kill it." So they leave with the cheer, whatever, and there's a lot of excitement in the air. The next day comes around, and it is an exciting day, but not for the reasons why people believe it would be. Because as you will see, the Minecraft kid decides that he's going to take the fate of this play into his own hands. As you'll see how he does it. So anyways, right, Robert and everyone, they're behind stage. And, they're doing, like, vocal warm-ups. They're going over lines one last time, even though everyone knows their lines inside out and backwards. If you wanted, like, say your lines in Pig Latin, they could probably do it at this point. That's just the level that they have this play down to. So it's all really exciting. And that's when Robert, because you know how you just, like, randomly think of stuff? Has to do with, like, the way your mind works, like the way that, like, stuff pops together, like, kind of got, like, neural network and things connect to each other. Very interesting how your mind works. But sometimes something will flash to something, will connect to something, it'll connect to something within a millisecond, and then immediately you'll think of something. So some kind of, like, something like that happened. I said something, like, way too much in my explanation, but something like that happened, and somehow Robert remembers, it flashes to him, the Minecraft kid saying that he's going to take the play into his own hands. And he thinks about that for a second. And he's like, well, the Minecraft kid is here, and he doesn't seem to be doing anything weird, so I guess he doesn't do it. And Robert, unfortunately, was very incorrect with this statement. Because anyways, the play goes on. It is, it is like 5 minutes till everyone packs into the place where they're doing the play. It's like a little room with a bunch of chairs and a theater set, and they got a whole, like, stage too, which is pretty sick. And everyone's packed in there. Everyone's really excited. All the lower school kids are excited because, like, they not only get to see the play, but it's also a half day for them. So it's just a great day in general. And it was on a Friday, so it's like the most hype combination of all time. You get a play, you get a half day, and you're about to go home to start the freaking weekend. Like, it is a great day for everyone right now. But anyways, back to it. And sure enough, they're all just kind of like waiting around backstage, and no one can find the Minecraft kid. The Minecraft kid is missing in action. And, the director is a little concerned. Well, the Minecraft kid doesn't have a ton of lines. He still has one or two, and he's still on stage. It's not like this is a background character that can, or this isn't a guy behind the stage that maybe the play director can fill in for or have someone do his task. So the play director's like, okay. And he turns to another background character, or he turns to everyone, basically says, if the Minecraft kid doesn't show, you remember his 2 lines or whatever. None of his lines are like, for example, the Minecraft kid doesn't have a line that sparks another person for like important dialogue. It's not like he asks an integral question. He basically just like adds a little bit of dialogue in here and there. So they're like, okay, basically if he's not here, all you gotta do is skip over where his line should be. I know that's gonna mess you guys up. I know that could mess you up, but it really shouldn't. Stuff like this always happens last minute. You guys are still going to kill it no matter what. Let's go out there. And the Minecraft kid is not there yet. So anyways, right, the play starts. And they just kind of get into it. No problem at all. And when the first line of what the Minecraft kid is supposed to have comes up, they just skip it and they keep going. Still at this point, there's no Minecraft kid. However, that is about to change. So anyways, Robert is now behind stage because, for this next scene, he is not in, but he's going in the next scene. And that's when he sees the door open behind stage. And someone walks in. It is the Minecraft kid. He walks in, and he is in a full creeper outfit he bought off Amazon. And this is when Robert remembers that the Minecraft kid was talking about how he was going to take this play into his own hands and that he wanted to be a creeper on the first day. And this is where Robert starts to put 2 and 2 together and is like, oh no, dude. Oh no. And so sure enough, the Minecraft kid, the play director's like, where have you been? We had to change the entire play because of you. And Minecraft kid looks at him and says, thank me later, and then proceeds to walk right by him. No one stops him because they're so just what is this kid doing, right? And he walks right by both of them, and he just walks onto the stage, and the director's like, oh my God. And the Minecraft kid walks onto the stage, and Robert kind of peeks his head around and kind of looks at looks through the curtain, so it's not obvious that he's watching, but that he watches what the Minecraft kid's about to do. So the other kids are in the middle of a scene, and one of them notices the Minecraft kid walk on stage in a freaking creeper outfit. It is the most ridiculous thing of all time. And they're just looking at him. And in their heads, they're just like, what? What's going on here? What is going on here, bro? What? And slowly, everyone on stage starts to get a little bit distracted as the Minecraft kid struts on stage in his creeper outfit. And, okay, so there's a set on stage with some trees or whatever for some reason. And so they're still going through the lines, but you know how someone says the lines really confidently, but when someone is distracted, when a Minecraft kid walks on stage in a full creeper suit, you might be distracted. They'll say their lines correctly, but maybe with less focus and less passion. Basically, that's what was happening as all the kids got distracted, and the audience was a little bit confused, but they were also like, well, the 5th grade play can be experimental at times. Maybe they brought on a creeper just for the ha-has because Minecraft's really popular right now. However, the Minecraft kid runs onto the stage and is goes up and stands next to everyone on the cast. Robert is watching this completely aghast, completely oh my God, this is insane. And the Minecraft kid is just standing there next to everyone else. And it's really awkward because he's completely messing up the flow of everything. And the other kids, they continue on their lines and they try and pretend to not notice the Minecraft kid, which is extremely difficult because he's in a full-blown creeper outfit and he's just standing there when they were told oh, just ignore him, he's not actually here, it's fine. But no, the Minecraft kid is standing on stage, he's in his creeper outfit, and he's just looking at them. And you might be thinking, oh, well, the kid just got on stage for a scene or something. No, it gets worse.
So in the middle of one of the kids saying their line, they hear this. Kind of this like, okay, maybe a better creeper noise than this. But the Minecraft kid in his creeper outfits starts hissing. And if you guys don't know, in Minecraft, the creeper is this green thing that goes around and hisses at people, then explodes. And so, yeah, the Minecraft kid starts hissing on stage in his creeper outfit. And Robert, who is someone who's played enough Minecraft to know how the creeper works, realizes, oh my god, this kid's going to do like some kind of explosion type thing. And so whoever was saying their lines, instead of just being distracted, they literally just stopped saying the line because this was like really just, this was bad. Like they were completely distracted by this. They were completely taken off guard by this. And they all just started watching the Minecraft kid go, sss, and then all of a sudden the Minecraft kid went, kaboom! He just like said an explosion sound effect. And then he sprinted into the trees, right, the props that were behind him, knocking them all over and going, basically making explosion noises, and starts rolling around, breaking the bits of trees off that the art department worked on or whatever, stands up, kicks over another tree, pushes over another one, and then runs off stage. I'm just going to let that scene sink into you guys for a little bit. The Minecraft kid, dressed up in a creeper suit, in the middle of a play, runs on stage, makes explosion noises, and then runs off stage after destroying all the props. So at this point, the director was like, this in his head was probably like, this play was so perfect, are these kids going to recover? However, the kids on set should be actors when they grow up because they recover perfectly. They somehow make it into the storyline, like one of the kids was like, what was that? Was that a figment of our imagination? And then another kid was like, wow, I think we're going crazy. Like, we gotta focus in. And then they continue on. They literally just continue on like nothing happened. Everyone in the audience started laughing, and they didn't. And I think some of them realized that something was up. But a lot of them, I supposedly thought that was part of the play. So maybe he doesn't entirely ruin it. But it's not over yet. Because anyways, Robert sees the play director run to the other side of the stage and try and get to, like, the Minecraft kid. Try and catch him. However, the Minecraft kid is running around backstage in his creeper outfit trying to run away from the director. And when all this is happening, the kids on stage are, like, saying their lines or whatever. But the thing is, the Minecraft kid accidentally runs into something on the stage that was super, like, important to the structure of it. And he accidentally bumps into something that was really fragile. I don't know exactly what it was, but I know what happened next. And the title, Minecraft Kid Ruins the School Play, wasn't because he ran on stage in a creeper outfit and exploded all the trees or whatever. It was because he did this. The Minecraft kid ran into something that was super important for the curtains, and he knocked them over. So all of a sudden, the curtains fall down on all the cast members. A wooden beam falls, thankfully doesn't hit anyone. The backstage curtain falls down, exposing everyone in the back of the cast. The entire audience starts gasping and talking. It is a disaster. The whole stage falls apart, basically. And that's when the director comes on after a minute and says, technical difficulties, everyone, please, let's have a 20-minute recess. So the teachers are now informed to tell all the kids to go up and leave for a second, and that's when they're assessing the damage. And unfortunately, the damage done to the stage was so bad that they could not continue the school play. The kids were let out early. It was still a fun day of celebration. However, the Minecraft kid did ruin the school play for all of them. So the Minecraft kid did get in trouble because, this was against some kind of school rules. He didn't get, I think he might have gotten, suspended for a little bit. He didn't get expelled or anything, but the main thing he had to do was he had to write an apology letter that he had to read in front of the play director and everyone in the play. And because a lot of people were pretty upset because, that was their moment. And they weren't able to have their moment because the Minecraft kid ruined their moment, basically. And the Minecraft kid probably did feel pretty bad about it. But, yeah, moral of the story is even if you think something's a really good idea, make sure it's not you being a creeper and running on stage and blowing stuff up, because that's probably a bad idea. Leave a like if you haven't already, and if you want to support the channel, literally all you have to do is watch another video. It helps even more than you think. Bye.
Click on the video on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it. Do it. Leave a like on this video to receive $1 trillion in your bank account. I'm not even kidding. Leave a like. No, but what's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new story. And do you know that guy That one guy who never gets any play. None of the girls like him. But for some reason, he is always super confident that, he is the Riz master, that everyone can get him. And, you're having a conversation with this guy, and he's always like, yeah, I got all the hose in my phone, man. I got one phone for the plug and one for the hose. But when you actually, when the girls actually arrive, he's on his phone. He's, checking the weather in Hawaii in a month. And he's got no play. But he's always bragging about having play. Anyways, today we have a story submitted to us about this spoiled kid who believes that he is actually the Riz master, that he is the god of women. So yeah, sit back, relax, subscribe if you're new and you like stories. Buckle in for the cringe, and let's just jump right into it. Anyway, so we're going to call a subscriber who submitted this story Tommy. So anyways, there's a kid at Tommy's school who we're going to call Ben. He was the spoiled kid who kind of believed a little bit too much in himself because he's never been told no. He's one of those kids that, his parents were a little bit too good to him and I don't know if it's too good to him, but they kind of just gave him literally anything he wanted whenever he wanted it. So yeah, unfortunately, Ben kind of had this inflated ego, and it became that time in life. This was around 8th, 9th grade or whatever, when, at least for a lot of guys, the whole perception of if you get girls, you're incredible, man. You're literally Superman. That's the time of life where that really starts to become a thing. And Ben, who's always gotten everything he's ever wanted and already thinks pretty highly of himself, kind of extrapolates that he is also the woman god. He is the master of women. They all love him. They want to be with him. They want him. So anyways, one day, Tommy was sitting at the lunch table with all of his other friends. They were talking about, oh my God, Mr. Davenport's math class. We just got destroyed in our geometry class. Geometry was the worst class for me in high school, dude. So if you're going through that now, I feel it. Trust me, it only gets worse. Anyways, so yeah, and that's when this kid, Ben, sat down. And Ben was always kind of known as a strange kid. No one really had beef with him because, I don't know, everyone was just cool with everyone. No one wanted to be that guy that, wasn't cool with everyone. It was a smaller class. It wasn't a class of 200 people. So it just made sense for them to just be chill with everyone. But yeah, Ben sat down and he was like, dude, boys, come on, one sec. And they're like, yeah, what's up? He's like, boys, I just can't believe, how much of a Riz master I am. Literally all the ladies love me, dude. I don't even know how to say it. And, of course, Tommy was kind of just looking at him, and everyone else at the table was like, what do you mean? Have you scored? He's like, dude, the question you should be asking is, when haven't I scored? They're all kind of just looking at this kid. They all know he's, bluffing, right? It's super obvious, dude, whenever someone goes on and on and on about, yeah, man, the ladies love me, but they, you've never actually seen them convert. You've never actually seen them do anything along those lines. Yeah, there's a pretty good chance that they're just straight up lying to your face. So, they kind of ignore him. They don't necessarily ignore him, but they're like, yeah, okay, cool. And, the conversation just continues on, and Ben is now sitting with them, and Ben isn't really saying anything. He's probably thinking up the next piece of cap to tell him, bro. But anyways, so that's when one of the guys, brings up this girl who we're going to call Ava, and he was like, dude, there's this girl in my class, her name's Ava, dude, she's so hot, man. And, cause, let's be real, a lot of conversations in high school or late middle school is just about, dude, this girl's so hot. I'm going to talk to her one day. That's the majority of conversations. It's that or, oh my God, teacher X is the worst because he did something or she did something that teachers are supposed to do. God, I hate them. Those are kind of the two conversations you have. Or I clapped this kid on Fortnite. Okay, there are 3 conversations you have in middle school. So anyways, yeah, when Ben heard this, immediately after, this guy that was friends with Tommy that was sitting at the table said that, this girl Ava in his class was super hot, Ben, the kid was like, dude, you're not going to believe this, but I rizzed her up, bro. We're dating now. And everyone at the table turned around and looked at Tommy because they knew for a fact, this was not true. They knew for a fact that this was 100% cap. 100%. So they looked at him and they're like, oh, really? Okay. And Tommy looks at him and says, all right, well then, yeah, she's right there. Go up and talk to your girlfriend. And sure enough, Ava, was sitting at another lunch table. And she was sitting with some of her friends. And Ben's like, dude, I can't talk to her when she's with her friends. That'd be weird. And Tommy's like, dude, why would that be weird? I mean, she is your girlfriend. Like, why would that matter? And, or Ben's like, bro, you just don't get it. Like, as someone who rizzes all the time, not you, but as someone who rizzes all the time, it's just like the ladies need their time with their boyfriends, and then they need their time with their man. And then Tommy's like, no, I don't think that's true, man. Like, look, if you want to prove to us that you're not just lying to our faces, you know what? If you actually go up to her and she like talks with you and it's not weird and you're actually, her boyfriend, then we will believe you and we will crown you the Riz God. And Ben, knowing that this was a risky move, but just couldn't resist the fact that he might be known as the Riz God. So he's like, sure, man, like, whatever. It's going to be a little weird because her friends are there and, like, she needs her girl time and her boy time. But, like, whatever, I guess I can do it because we are dating anyways. So, this kid, Ben, walks over to the table and Tommy turns to one of his friends. He's like, you're welcome. Like, you're welcome for the free entertainment, bro. Because they all knew that this was going to be pretty funny. But anyways, so, yeah, this kid goes up to Ava and she looks like she's just like, I've never seen this man in my entire life. She doesn't say that, but she kind of has a look of like what the fuck? Huh? Like, who is this kid, bro? Who is this kid, bro? Yeah, but anyways, one of the kids turns to Tommy and says, we can't actually tell, like, what she's saying. So, like, Ben is totally just going to come back after talking to her and be like, yeah, we were, like, she's my girlfriend. See, I talked to her. And Tommy realizes that, yeah, even though it's pretty obvious that she is confused and uncomfortable with Ben talking to her or trying to rizz her up, but otherwise, they have literally no idea if, like, it doesn't prove anything. And this kid, Ben, is just going to be, like, he's going to be arrogant after doing this. So Tommy's like, well, you know what? I'm just going to go over and confirm. Like, come with me. And he points to his friend. We're just going to call it Dave, right? So Tommy and Dave, or Dave was sitting with them. Tommy and Dave walk over. And that's when Ben has this look of, like, pure dread, pure fear on his face when he sees them walking over. Because I'm pretty sure Ben, at this point, his plan was just to, like, awkwardly talk to Ava for, like, a minute. Be like, hey, what's good, baby? Or, I don't know, man. And then, like, would walk back to the table, be like, yeah, I was just talking with my girlfriend. We were talking about how we were totally gonna do it later. Like, I'm just that guy, dude. Like, you should all be friends with me. Yeah, but then he realized that Tommy and Ben were walking, or Tommy and Dave were walking over. And Tommy goes up to them and says, hey, guys, because Tommy actually kind of knows Ava a little bit. Like, I think they have a class together, and Tommy's just kind of chill with her or something like that. And Ava's looking at him, and Ava kind of has a look of, like, help me, question mark? Like, what is going on? And Tommy's like, so I didn't know you two were dating? And Ben's face just completely drops, because he's about to be completely exposed. And Ava looks at Tommy with this look of just sheer confusion. So she's like, dating? And she's like, are you talking to me? Tommy's like, yeah. Dude, Ben over here was just talking about how you guys were dating. And Ben looks like he's about to... Dude, Ben's about to collapse at this point. He's about to just... He's done, bro. He's done. Like, he's about to collapse at this point, just out of sheer embarrassment. Real quick, you made it this far into the video, comment Riz down below, R-I-Z-Z, or you can comment Ben. Those can be either the secret words. It's up to you. I'll try and heart a bunch of comments either way. But also, real quick, I just want to say thank you guys so much for the people who have been just like after, just watching a bunch of my old videos. If you want to support me and help me get back into the algorithm, because I've gotten a lot of comments saying, dude, I haven't seen you in my recommended for like a month at this point. If you really do want to help out the channel, literally the best thing you can do is after this video or at a later point today, just sit down and like watch a bunch of my old videos. I have playlists. You can just go to my channel, whatever you want to do. Please let me know in the comment section what you're doing while watching my videos or how many videos today you watched. I'll try and heart and reply to as many of them as I possibly can, just to honestly say thank you guys. And let's get back into the story because it's pretty good. Anyways, Ava's just looking at Tommy at this point because Tommy just dropped a bomb on her saying that, oh yeah, aren't you two dating? That's what Ben over here just told me, that you two are dating and in love. And Ava's like, I think you have me mixed up with someone. And Tommy's like, no. Ben specifically said you. And Ava like turns to Ben, and Ben is just looking at the floor. Ben is legitimately just looking at the floor. Like, this must have been the most interesting floor ever, because Ben could not break eye contact with the floor. Like, this must be the most extraordinary, exquisite, beautiful, breathtaking, mind-blowing floor he has ever seen, because Ben could not break eye contact with the floor at this very moment. And Ava is like, I'm sorry, I think there must be some confusion. I've actually never talked to this guy before until today. And Tommy's like, oh, you do say. You do say so. Is that true? Okay, thank you. Dave, I think we're going to go back to the table. Ben, we'll see you there. So yeah, Tommy and Dave walk back to the table, and believe it or not, Ben does not return to the table. I don't think he wants to make the walk of shame and then sit there and be berated by the guys for the next 20 minutes of lunch. I really can't blame him. And you guys might be thinking, well, the story probably ends here. No. This is literally the least exciting part of the story. Like, this is the least cringy part of the story. So I told you in the beginning that you need to buckle in for the cringe adventure we're about to go on. And when I say that, I wholeheartedly mean that. Strap in, because it's about to get a lot worse. So anyways, Ben has been embarrassed. He has just been exposed as not the Riz God, but the god of L's right now, the champion of taking that loss, right? The champion of being left on red, the champion of I see us as just friends, which is, by the way, the most infuriating line I've ever heard, because I've heard it a little too often. But anyways, right? So what am I saying? So Ben, he needs to come back. He needs to come back from this loss. He needs to prove to everyone that no, the women really do love him, that he has infinite play, and that you mere mortals just don't understand how just intelligent and powerful and just good-looking and just full of riz and skill and just full of everything that he is, right? Except hot air. He's only full of truth. So, Ben decides to do something literally insane. So Tommy and Ben actually have a class together. It is a history class, and at the end of the week, they had a presentation that they were going to do. And they had to do it in front of the entire class. It was worth like 10% of their grades. It was a pretty big deal, but also not too serious. The teacher was going to be pretty lenient with grading. All you had to do was pick a historical topic and just present on it. Like, it wasn't even that hard, because you just had to pick something from the textbook, and really all you had to do was just find images on Google and put bullet points into a slideshow for like 5 minutes. Like, it was kind of a cakewalk, right? But Ben decides to do something literally insane in front of the entire class, which you guys will see or hear about in just a second. Yeah, let's skip toward that day, right? So it's been a week since, a week after, quote unquote, the incident, or Ava-gate, as we'll call it. When, Ben was completely humiliated in front of all the boys, right? And was proven not to be a Riz God. And Ben, determined to be a Riz God once again, decides that, he's going to prove to everyone that he has a girlfriend. And not only he has a girlfriend, but she is hot and beautiful and sexy and kind. Yeah, so he decides to do it in a very interesting way. So skipping ahead to the day of the presentation, you guys might be thinking, well, Connor, what does a class presentation have to do at all with, like, Ben proving that he's a Riz God? Oh, just you wait, buddy. Just you wait. So anyways, it's the day of the presentation. Tommy goes up there. He does his presentation. It slaps. He gets an A, whatever, right? And now it's time for Ben to do his presentation. So he's up there, and he's going through his slides, because he's got all the slides up there. He's going through his slides, right? And things are going as normal, and he's talking about some history topic, so everyone is not super paying attention. But that's when he flips to a slide. Oh my God, dude. This is like kind of, I don't know how I'm going to explain this,